It is once again time to prepare your mind for another edition of Weekly Weird.
Are we on? Are we live? Are we doing it? Can you hear everything?
Hell yeah.
Is everyone hearing this?
Do we exist?
Is this real? Oh my god, I've got the number in too early. The number's not on yet.
Don't
Number's
call
not
the
live.
number.
No calling yet, guys. Calm down. Calm down. Welcome, weirdos, to another week of the Weekly Weird. My name is Dio. With me, the strongest old man I know, Patrick. And totally not a Skinwalker, Jim Hickox.
Not and never will be. Don't even joke.
Listen, Skinwalkers are no joke, okay? Despite what Patrick might think. I'm looking at you. I know, I'm on to you. Guys, tune in for in an hour. There's just going to be a Skinwalker scream off between.
Dio and I are going to get to fisticuffs, dude.
That's right. This is going to be. It's definitely something a Skinwalker would say. You're totally right, Edgy. Yes, it's going to get weird. Guys, we're talking about the Skinwalker Ranch tonight. But before we do that, we should talk about this week in weirdness with Jim. I'm Jim. I think you're the one in charge of this.
You're just throwing this at me.
I'm just throwing this at you, buddy.
All right. Okay.
You actually did your homework. The rest of us didn't. I mean, unless Patrick, you put stuff up on there. I don't know. Maybe you did.
Not even a single article.
Not a one. So.
Nah, I was just looking up Skinwalker Ranch hate speech.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you a little run through some of the stories of the week. First up, New York Post reports on July 23. That's a couple of days ago. Those Peruvian aliens. You guys remember the Peruvian aliens that were hanging out in Mexico? They were a big deal for a minute. You when the image comes up, you'll recognize. You all are very familiar with this little dude.
Look at that.
They're still kicking around.
He's trying
still around.
Oh, that's good. He looks like he's trying to suck his own dick.
And who wouldn't, Dio?
You know what? You're right.
They're still testing those dudes. According to Joshua McDowell, who's a defense attorney from Colorado. Why is it relevant that he's a defense attorney? Couldn't tell you. According to him, they have straight fingerprints, unlike any fingerprints seen on any human beings.
I think.
What does that mean? Means they're aliens.
Probably. I think they let that sentence go on too long. It was unlike fingerprints. Full stop.
Sure. Yeah. Any fingerprints at all ever seen anywhere, except on aliens, Dio.
Okay.
Why did ours evolve into whorls? I don't know.
God.
So who am I to refute an alien's fingerprints evolving into just absolute lines?
Oh, 1-800-Flowers.
Hey, 1-800-Flowers. Sponsoring.
Also,
Weird.
make sure you call 1-800-Flowers starting in about an hour. The line doesn't open up until then.
They know. Run. Exactly.
Let's jump to the next story. According to the Yorkshire Examiner, this is from Yorkshire, England. Heard of it? A paranormal investigator named Mark Vernon was investigating the Kirkheaton Parish Church in Yorkshire. He got some footage. I haven't actually seen this footage because I couldn't make it load on my computer.
Okay.
But he has footage. There's a video here of the locally famous ghost, Black Dick, formerly known as Sir Richard Beaumont. Sorry, what was the? Excuse me, how about?
What was the ghost name?
His name's Black Dick. Do you have an issue with that?
No,
Are
no,
you familiar with him? Is that why you were?
No, that's new to me.
How would you describe his size, Jim? What
His
was the size of
thighs?
this ghost? No, his size. How big is this
Oh,
ghost? Is
he's
he
a pretty big fella.
Is he
He's a big fella.
Big black dick?
Sure, yeah, I think you could call him
Okay.
Big Black Dick. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Dio, I was sipping my beer, you son of a bitch.
He was an intimidating guy. He was when he was alive, he was a highwayman and a gambler. So certainly intimidating.
So good guy.
Lost his head, now carries his head around under his arm. Mark Vernon saw he was out shooting video and caught on video what he claims is some kind of portal and what he can only describe as a spirit orb. After that, he says his camera shut down after about 20 seconds, which they've never done before. Never. And he said it's like a large black orb, which I think it's on the top right there of that image.
Okay, here we go.
He connects that large black orb, the color, with Black Dick himself.
Oh, wait. Oh, whoa, I see it.
Oh!
Look at him move.
More compelling than I thought.
Look at that. Yeah.
Right? Ghost
we're
crazy.
gonna get another little zhuzh here.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely not a After Effects layer.
See, I think it's a fly on the lens, but it could be Black Dick.
It could be Black Dick.
It could be. I mean, I think that's a small black dick if I ever seen one. So.
Yeah, I was expecting a bigger.
Well, you don't know how far away that orb is.
Blacker dick, in fact.
Honestly.
I mean, all right.
It feels like you guys are making a joke that I don't get, and I don't understand. I don't get what's funny about this story to you guys. Is all I'm saying.
I'll tell you when you're older, Jim.
Okay. I'll wait. Not right now, not silently. Just let me know when I'm ready, I guess.
You're ready. You just keep it going.
Okay. The Loudoun Times-Mirror. Also, no. This is Virginia, Loudoun, Virginia. July 26th reports. Actually, 1 year ago. Well, yesterday, as of midnight. Air Force Major David C. Grush was testifying 1 year ago yesterday before Congress that the U.S. government has been involved for decades in a secret crash retrieval and reverse engineering program involving UFOs. This is a story. I read it a couple of times and I couldn't fully comprehend it because it's a legal story. But it is about he did that report a year ago and since has been, he claims, doxxed in retaliation for reporting on the UFO disclosure. Ken Klippenstein, who I don't know who at the time
that's a guy whose name I've heard of. Yes,
you know that guy. He filed a Freedom of Information request and was given what is, according to Grush, highly sensitive personal information that should not have been released, relating to a mental health evaluation that he had and temporary detention he was put under. He was not committed. He was consequently released, but he was held for a couple of days, and that was put in a report filed by The Intercept. And he says that that the defendants, which is The Intercept in this case, and no, it's the office that released the information, had no authority to exercise discretion when releasing information relating to the plaintiff's involuntary admission records, reports, and/or documents. The disclosure to Klippenstein was prohibited by law, and that because of this report, he has suffered personally and professionally.
Oh,
is what Grush says. So, not directly a story about UFOs, but it is a story about the government retaliating against UFO.
And listen, they've been doing this for thousands of years. I mean, like literally thousands.
The U.S.
of years.
government.
Okay, the U.S. government has been coming down on truth seekers.
Yeah,
for thousands
Grushes
of
across
years.
the world.
Seriously, there's been a Grush in every era: Paleolithic, Jurassic,
Jurassic Rush,
Grushic. Yeah, for sure.
Shameful.
I mean,
for shame.
All joking aside, like, You can't if you're not you can't go after any whistleblower, whether they're talking about Boeing or they're talking about UFOs. You can't go out of it. It's kind of one of those things, you know.
Let the whistles blow.
Let the
My
whistles
babies.
blow.
Yeah.
Let them blow. All right, the next one.
Sure, next one. This one, I didn't watch this whole video. I just watched about 16 seconds.
Oh, in the video. Oh my God, it's so loud.
This is via TMZ.
This bad boy.
Yeah,
Holy God.
TMZ again with the jump scares, man.
It's for real, dog.
They're coming at you. If you just jump 16 seconds, we can watch the whole thing if you want to hear TMZ people talk about it. You can just jump 16 seconds in if you just want to see the UFO. It's just a UFO that was caught on a security camera in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga.
Choo choo. There it is.
Oh.
UFO.
Damn.
Wow.
I didn't listen to what TMZ had to say, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just watching this. I muted the damn thing because it was way too loud. All right.
Oh yeah.
You now know as much as I do about it. Yeah.
Dead in the
Floats,
air. That's
stops,
crazy.
moves
That's
again.
just a space
right?
frog. Got it.
Space frog.
Space frog.
I don't
I
believe in
mean-
space frog.
I'm not at all curious what Ben Hansen has to say.
You don't want to know
mean,
what Ben has to say about it?
No, I don't care. But I don't know. I mean, the tail is the compelling part. The little like streak tail when it moves, that is compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. Frogs don't have those except when they're babies.
That's true. You lose.
Yeah,
those.
it's not a space tadpole.
Yeah.
Not at all.
If
Whoa.
anything, it's a space dad.
Damn,
So
that thing's going.
It's ripping.
That movement right there makes me suspect, though. Because why would you... I don't know.
Wait, what about it? Why would
It's just
an
like,
alien
okay,
want to zip across the sky real fast?
Well, okay, so, like, just imagine the physical forces that enact on a body inside a craft like that, right? Assuming this is a nuts and bolts UFO, which I know
Assuming
is...
a human body.
I'm just saying anybody, a physical body. If you're going super fast and then you
What if
decide
they're
to
made
go,
of loose
"Whoa!"
sludge, Dio?
Listen, I'm
What
not
if they're made
saying
of gas?
Then how did they build the ship?
I don't know. I'm not a gas creature.
I mean, it could be
I
an
was hoping
alien
you'd never answer
drone.
for that.
Like,
Sure, it could be
look
an
how
alien
we
drone.
explore.
You're so right.
There's that whole theory. I just heard this theory that
Alien
we
drone.
explore Mars via robots and stuff. Why would an alien life form
Why would they be
dare
in
to
a
come
ship?
to this
1,000%.
planet?
Yeah, 1,000%. Classic. In fact, that's foreshadowing some theories about Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, so well, there
okay.
you go. There you go. Let's get this man off my screen.
Yeah, get that guy out of there.
Yeah.
Let's get this guy out of here.
Looks like his forearm hurts.
According to says.com on July 23rd, on July 20, people in the I was really hoping somebody else would read this one. People gathered in the Chagfak Kud Temple in Nikkom
I'm sorry. The
Fathana.
what now?
You know, the Chagfak Temple in
Yeah,
in Thailand.
Nailed it. 100%.
Gotcha,
nailed it.
gotcha.
It's a cemetery. They gathered in a cemetery, it's a cemetery where they bury both claimed and unclaimed people, and they were having a banquet in honor of the unclaimed spirits. Several people, uncredited in this article, took photographs. You can see the photographs there. With no people present, it's just the setup, but you can see shadowy figures sitting at some of the chairs and hanging out under the little pavilion area. Presumably unclaimed spirits enjoying the banquet that was set out in their honor.
Wait, what?
Nice.
Where? Hold on.
I don't know.
where?
There's an arrow or something.
Yeah, I'm looking for him, but
They're in the back.
Hold on. I gotta do something really quick. I gotta readjust.
Is
my
it go
seating
buy
here.
glasses so your blind eyeballs can see the ghosts?
No, there we go. Now I'm looking at the screen.
I mean, I'm glad that they're enjoying the banquet in their honor.
Yeah.
I don't
It's nice.
see
It's
them.
nice.
Does anybody
It's
see
a
them?
lovely story. Look, here's the thing, Dio, is that you have to be super smart to see them.
Oh, well, that's I'm straight out. That's fair. That is fair. Shame. Why
For
is there
shame.
food? Great question.
Well, people
I
are
think it's
gonna-
ghost food.
I think alive people are eventually going to sit in those chairs and eat that food.
What do you think the ghost's favorite food would be? Do you think it would be the food that they experienced in life, or do you think that they have some ethereal delights that they're privy to?
I think they're less into food and more into spirits. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, well done. Moving on.
Via the Oxford Mail back in England. On July 23rd, they posted an article. Brocard, a singer, who is famous, according to this article, primarily for having married and then divorced a Victorian ghost named Eduardo, with a W. She's currently filming a TV series about paranormal investigation, and while investigating the house of a guy who the article also treats as a public figure, named Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. Seems like a bougie British guy.
Presumably this man.
Yeah, that fella. He looks wealthy.
He does. He does look like a low rent.
Branson.
Branson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Branson, he looks like a C tier Branson.
He does. Yeah. Like he's got a boat but no spaceship.
Yeah. He calls his boat the spaceship.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like cool like that, you know.
She investigated his house. That's the lady she has married and divorced, Eduardo the ghost. She was investigating this guy's house, and she found a lady ghost who has a crush on him. He's not interested.
Drama.
And says that he is disappointed in her for ever having married a ghost in the first place. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
different strokes
I'd
for
be
different
disappointed
strokes.
to hear that from my wife as well.
Horses for courses, as they say in England.
gotcha. All right. Well,
Look at
what
her,
is
yeah, she
going
looks
on?
like she married a ghost.
Yeah.
That's a lady
She's
who
got
marries a ghost.
Lydia from Beetlejuice vibes.
She definitely
Yeah.
also looks like she's gonna marry somebody, and soon they will be ghosts. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's gonna inherit that guy's space boat.
Exactly. She's
right.
gonna be like, I'm taking
That's
the
right.
spaceship to Spain, baby.
Last story from this week that I found is from News 18, which is a CNN affiliate in India, reported on July 22nd. Another filmmaker who is looking at, there's no actual real image on here, who is looking at paranormal stuff. He was in Rendlesham in Suffolk, England. So British. Working on making a film about a UFO incident that took place there in 1980. He left. He felt like something was following him home. He looked to the sky, and he saw an orb trailing him and gently bobbing from side to side. He said the sky was light. There were no clouds. There were some planes going by, but it wasn't a plane because it was just kind of bobbing, blinking in and out of existence. Not a satellite. No word in the article on why he didn't film it, given that he was driving home from making a film about UFOs.
Yeah. I mean, nobody would believe you, right?
Yeah, that's true. Who's
Yeah.
better set to fake a video? So why bother?
I like this one, though, because this one is, they're referring to what happened in Rendlesham Forest, which
Yes.
will more than likely be another long Dio rant about the truth of reality in the future. So just,
Is
don't
that
do-
how? Are we gonna get
Look
so
forward to
deep that we
that.
discuss the truth of reality?
No, not this time. This one's Skinwalker Ranch is the thing. It gets a little wiggity. We're gonna get a little wiggity, I think. But that's what we do. I mean,
I'm gonna talk about the truth of reality involving Skinwalker Ranch, man.
Can one of you guys explain the truth of my personal reality? Because that is something I deeply need.
Not for anything
Yeah.
less than an hour.
Fair. That is a very reasonable price.
Is that it? Is that the week?
That's the news from the week.
That was the week.
Although I would like to, before we move on, remind everybody that following the outcry from last week's episode, we have launched a GoFundMe that where we're trying to raise the money to pay for a TIG welder, a very large chrome phallus, and a trip to Point Pleasant, West Virginia to complete the Mothman statue. Please make sure you donate. It's important work.
It is truly. The link will be making an appearance sometime in the future. Truly. We've got a crack artist on the case.
An artist on crack.
Yeah.
That's right.
Great. That was the Week in Weird. Thank you, everybody. At some point, I'll have a graphic for all of that. All right. Well, without further ado, I suppose it is time to talk about Skinwalker Ranch. Guys,
Don't say it. Don't say it out loud.
let's talk about Skinwalker Ranch. So, I'm going to do a couple of things up front to get some stuff out of the way. The first thing is, when I talk about Skinwalker Ranch, my primary source for research on the Skinwalker Ranch stories is a book called Hunt for the Skinwalker by Colm Kelleher. I think it's Kelleher. Colm Kelleher. And George Knapp. Okay, the illustrious George Knapp of Coast to Coast fame.
I took a George Knapp this afternoon.
Nice.
Hold on.
It was really nice.
That does deserve. Well done. And that has been my primary source. So consequently, even though the names of the owners, the people involved, is out there on the internet, all whatever, the book decided to protect their privacy at the time. This was, it was written in 2005. Lots of stuff has happened since then. I'm going to refer to them as in the names in the book, partly because, well, Patrick and I will have a whole conversation about the veracity of these claims. Who cares whether we use their names or not, right? Like, at that point. Right. So when I refer to them, just know you're gonna get on the internet and you're gonna be like, Dio got the names wrong. No, I didn't. I know what their names are. Okay, well, I'm just gonna refer to them. I'm just gonna refer to them how they're referred to in the book, because the book claims that they wanted to respect their privacy respected, and I'm gonna take the book at its word, at least up for that. And as I'm talking about it, I'm gonna take the book at its word, because as you'll soon find, there's not a lot of physical proof as to what happened at Skinwalker Ranch. The other thing, listen, I didn't have to. The book repeats over and over again how little physical evidence they got of everything. But it doesn't matter, Patrick, because it's about the mind, okay? It's about the mind. Truth. And what you bring to the ranch, okay? The other thing I'm going to mention is that we are going to be talking about, like, aspects of Native American culture. I have a little disclaimer in the middle of my script about this. Listen, I'm probably going to get it wrong. I am not the person to explain Native American culture, obviously. So, just don't, apologies in advance if anything is anything is missaid. It shouldn't be anything deeply racist. But also, these things get lost in time. So, before I begin, I think it's important that we define some of the terms that can be confusing when we talk about Skinwalker Ranch, because all of the different myths and the legends that have been concentrated into these two little words. And so it's important to unpack those things before we begin, because when we've talked about this, fellas, I've heard some things, some misapprehensions from the two of you about, this subject. And so I just want to start with a little bit of a defining of terms. Okay. So a ranch is a large farm, typically in the Western United States, where cattle, horses, and other various grazing animals are raised. You guys following me so far?
Point of clarification,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's a cool ranch, then?
Oh, a Cool Ranch is a Dorito that is not as good as a nacho cheese. Anyway.
What?
heresy.
moving on.
What
We
are
can't-
you
we're
even
moving
saying
on.
right now?
We're moving
Blue bag
on.
for life.
No,
We're
no, no,
moving
no.
on. We can't get into this. We don't have enough time.
That hurts. That hurts. All right.
Next week's episode.
Is also a delicious salad dressing consisting of mayonnaise, sour cream, milk, and a collection of spices. But for our discussion, we're going to concentrate on that first definition, okay? Okay? Everybody with me so far?
Fine. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I know this will be a point of contention later, Patrick, but it'll be fine. We'll get there. Anyway, jokes aside,
We will.
the term Skinwalker can actually refer to a bunch of different various legends, as I said before. Predominantly, though, the legends come down from the Navajo or Dene people of the American Southwest. Like I said earlier, I'm not Native American. I did not grow up with these traditions, and I acknowledge that as an outsider to them, I am susceptible to errors, mistakes, and hyperbole that have been regurgitated ad nausea in the media. Okay? For the listeners, please forgive my errors, and if possible and willing, teach me where I made those errors. Or don't. You don't owe me anything, okay? So
But you can call in starting in half an hour. And
you
correct
can
us
call in to
on all
yell
our
at me
mistakes.
about anything that I say that's wrong in the future, okay? And we will be hearing from some Native Americans directly about this. Now, the term Skinwalker is decidedly a white man creation. Okay, the word that the Navajo or Dene people roughly
Don't say it.
use roughly translates to, by means of it, it goes on all fours. So, Jim, I understand your precaution on not saying the word, but Skinwalker is not even the word you shouldn't say. So
Fair.
and it's not even close. And in my research,
Okay.
I will say that a great many native peoples who at least put themselves out there, now they don't speak for everybody, they say the word and they'll occasionally use, they'll say Skinwalker all the time, and they'll only occasionally use the actual word. I couldn't even pronounce it if I tried. But they will refer to those things. The Navajo don't generally discuss the Skinwalker, not because of an idea. I think there's an old Western and somewhat Eastern magical tradition of names having power and over things, or if you name something, it gives it power, which is all very fuzzy. Is it like Beetlejuice or Bloody Mary? No, exactly. There's those traditions, but with Skinwalkers, the prescription against talking about Skinwalkers is more along the lines of, if somebody's asking you about a Skinwalker, it's usually one of two possibilities. One, they're interested in becoming a Skinwalker, or they are a Skinwalker already, and they're trying to find out how much you know. So it's less about you're going to summon them if you say it. It's more about, we don't talk about this stuff because we don't want anybody to become one. Now I've kind of danced around what a Skinwalker actually is. And that's kind of by design. I would rather at least initially give the floor to Wally Brown, a Navajo historian, who will tell you what a Skinwalker is here in a moment. Bear with me, please.
There.
Okay.
All right, Wally, breaking
Wally
down.
Brown pair?
Wally Brown. Oh, hold on. It'll actually look better this way. Bokeh.
In our own traditional teaching, what we have is the Skinwalker. The Skinwalkers are actual beings or people, the five-fingered being that have great knowledge of the dark side, and they are able to do the flat line and to actually be between here and the next world and in spirit form and able to do things to get around and do the evil that they can do. And that is very evil in so many ways. And so those are the ones that we call Yenan Zoshi. And I don't like to talk about it, and the Net don't like to talk about it. It is that They have control over so many things in the world today. The demonic influence on that is available, or we have, and it is always for distraction. And one of the main things that they attack in our present world and among our Dene is the family. The families are also always under some type of influence by the evil one and demonic forces. And so we have their efforts to make our families not stable, not united. And it is that they have that influence. And so it destroys the family. Keh is the most important thing among the Ne. Keh hatninigi. And that is that our families are the most important things to us as an individual to Ne. Keh. That not only means our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters, our aunts and uncles, grandfathers and grandmothers, in our own individual family unit, but it also means the kinship families. It is the clan relationships on that we have.
Okay, I'm going to cut him off there. You can tell even in his description of it, he kind of just describes what they do and less about what they are physically. So you guys are probably still wondering, okay, what the hell is a Skinwalker, right? But you can tell by the way even he's talking about it, even though he uses the names, that he's not super into discussing the brass tacks of it, right? And that is by design. The myths of the Skinwalkers typically revolve around the ideas of like corrupted power. Like the Skinwalkers in some traditions are medicine men who, on the way to learning their spiritual and medicinal practices, found basically that journey was really hard. And rather than finish their training, they go to the evil one, and you heard him mention the evil one. From my understanding, cursory understanding of religion, it's akin to like an evil personification, and they're just like, they make a Faustian bargain with that, and they get these powers, but they also are corrupted, and then they attack the community. And it's actually a very interesting, I find it kind of interesting, in this kind of tension between like a individual motivated by selfish reasons going against the community, right? That's kind of where this story comes from. But the brass tacks of what a Skinwalker is functionally a witch, man or woman, who has the abilities to both traverse between the different worlds, as he said. There's the Navajo mythology is that this is the fourth world. Shout out to my Jack Kirby friends. And that they came from the third world, and that the Skinwalkers can move between those worlds. The other abilities that they have include shape changing, as you can see in this illustration above. They can transform into animals. And, additionally, according to Hunt for the Skinwalker, the myths around the Skinwalker also have a lot to do with the shape-changing ability and, like, the preservation of their identity. So if you see a Skinwalker's true form, you risk death, because the Skinwalker will do nothing short than kill you to protect its identity. If you know who the Skinwalker is when you see them, they die. But if you don't know who they are, they're going to kill you to make sure you never find out. So there's also this like kind of secrecy involved with the Skinwalker mythology. Skinwalkers will also purportedly blow corpse powder into your face, at which point your tongue will swell up, turn black, and you will slowly die over time. And that
Holy
is
shit.
at least one way that they can kill you. I think I mentioned that they can also commune with evil spirits and have incredible feats of power, physical prowess. One account from a police officer claims a Skinwalker ran alongside his police car. A lot of accounts have like animals or human-like animal creatures running really fast, running next to cars, doing such stuff like that. Another describes something similar in that Skinwalkers appeared like a hairy man, but not an ape. And even one alleged Skinwalker sighting, they wore a checkered blue collared shirt. So, yeah. So Skinwalkers are, you know, like I said, this kind of old Navajo tradition. You're kind of basically evil medicine man, like evil witch kind of character. In my research and diving into Wally Brown's videos, which I find is YouTube very fascinating. He runs a YouTube, or he's part of a YouTube channel with his son called Navajo Traditional Teachings. It's very fascinating to go down. It's a Navajo culture was all passed down orally, so it's kind of cool to see this guy do that and continue that tradition. But he did have a warning later in this video for people like us, fellas. And I think it's, for our sake, for our souls, and for our minds, we should watch this and take heed of this.
And so there's such things as infatuation with aliens, infatuation with Bigfoot. These things are all distractions. And people think that sometimes they are cute cartoon characters and cartoon things. But it is that they are actually real. But they are made real by the power of the evil one and the influence that he has, and the way that the demons are able to carry these distractions out. And it's very powerful and it's very real. And I don't like to give any more credit to it than that, but just be aware. And that's what they tell us in the traditional way. Observe and watch and learn. And then when you learn it, then you understand it and you learn how to avoid it. And be sure and be able to have your own protection song, your own protection prayer, and carry things that on you that remind you that you are the child of holy people and that they will protect you.
So, guys,
I need a mantra.
You need a mantra. You need your own protection song, and you got to. These things are real. You heard him say it. Bigfoot, aliens, they're real. And I will say I somewhat joke, but when it comes to Skinwalker Ranch, that it is an important context to know that the people who inhabited the lands that became Skinwalker Ranch have had these stories for millennia, like literally for millennia. Like as much as we're going to poke a lot of fun at the stories of the Gormans, there a lot of the things that the Gormans do describe have some precedent in the oral traditions of the Navajo in the area. So, whether or not they knew that, who knows? But there is an interesting precedent, like I said, for the area being inhabited by what the native peoples believe were spirits and ghosts and creatures. In fact, it's the Ute people, from which the state Utah is named after, that gave Skinwalker Ranch its names. It said that area is in the path of the Skinwalkers, Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay.
From what I can tell, now talking about Skinwalkers a little bit longer, from what I can tell, how one becomes a Skinwalker varies a little bit. But a common story is that in order to become a Skinwalker, you need to sacrifice the loved one to the evil one. It starts there. Some stories go on to say that you need to do a little post-mortem canoodling, and maybe rob a few graves to also get there. So there's a lot of gross taboo stuff having to do.
You at least have to be doing dark magic,
Yeah.
which often involves making alive people dead or dealing with dead people in some other.
In a carnal capacity, yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Or grind them up and blow them in somebody's face capacity.
True.
I not to sidetrack, but I love Icadus's comment about how the slide looks like a cover of Animorphs.
In a way,
Brilliant.
Animorphs were like the good Skinwalker. Never mind. Anyway,
Yeah.
I will say that also, or at least from what I could tell, there seems to be a tradition of shape-shifting for medicine men anyway. So some of the powers of the Skinwalker are just corrupted forms of what the powers of the medicine men were believed to be.
I've read that one of the things that within at least some areas of Navajo culture, and again, I don't know, I've just read, that it's considered relatively taboo to wear the skin of predatory animals because frequently people will wear the skin of the animals that they intend to or do turn into. So people who are wearing like a sheep fur are maybe going to go be a sheep for a while and do whatever they need to do. But somebody who's wearing a coyote fur is probably a skinwalker.
Interesting. Yes, I could definitely see that.
I said it.
You said it.
Oh shit, Jim. Oh, no, buddy.
You fooled me. I was trying so hard.
Listen, it's fine. Okay, I'm gonna say it so much. We'll be
They
fine.
don't like being talked about. That's the other thing is I think they just don't want to be talked about. I don't think it's about the word and whether or not it's the American riff word. I think the whole thing we're doing.
Talk about. I think it's that the most Navajo don't want you to talk about it. I think it's
both,
them.
dude.
Not from what I could tell, but hey, listen, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
I've read a lot of accounts of people who talk about them and then get got.
Well, but usually that's in the context of them looking for them or trying to seek them out. I mean, I think
sometimes you just talk about them.
I will think that you're conflating. I think you're conflating some Appalachian myths too.
I have some accounts pulled up that I can read you.
All right, I'm interested. We'll get to it. I have a 12-page script to get through.
It's gonna be a 4-hour stream.
We're on page 2, so we got places to go, guys. Now, as these beings, the Skinwalkers, relate to the approximately 512-acre area of the Uintah Basin that would become known as Skinwalker Ranch, it's really that ability for the Skinwalkers to cross between worlds that most directly relates to the ranch, right? Last week, I mentioned the idea of the flap, right? A time period where an area experiences a great amount of paranormal activity, and Skinwalker Ranch can be considered kind of the quintessential flap. Everything from Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, of course, Skinwalkers, they've been sighted in and around the area. In fact, Uintah Basin has been speculated to be a space that is kind of thin, so to speak, where the barriers between dimensions are more malleable and kind of thin space between worlds. And so a Skinwalker looking to enter the fourth world from other planes might use Uintah as a basin to cross over, or Uintah Basin to cross over. I mean, it makes sense. If this space is a confluence of places, we're better than to make your interplanar travel, right? In addition to Skinwalker tales of the Navajo, the Ute tribe, from which Utah got its name, believed the area that is now the ranch was cursed by the Navajo. Now, this is a little bit of tribal he said, she said here, because as I was talking with you guys earlier, if you ask a Ute, the Navajo are slave-driving pricks who, were bloodthirsty and all this stuff. And if you ask a Navajo, the Utes were slave-driving, warlike pricks who yada, yada, yada. But what is certainly true, like these tribes did not like each other, but what is certainly true is that in the 1860s, the Utes basically joined up with one of the many American campaigns of war against the native people. And it is commonly believed that after a particularly bloody campaign where many Navajo were killed, that the Navajo put a curse on the Utes in that area. And so that's where the area got cursed. Now,
I have exactly the same story, but with me and my neighbor in the blue house across the street.
Wait, did you curse his area or did he curse yours?
I wouldn't go swimming in his pool, that's all. If you're in the area, just don't swim in his pool. That's all I'm saying.
Skinwalker pool. And like I said, this is where the name of the ranch comes from. It's in the path of the Skinwalkers. I will say this, though. After having done the research on Skinwalkers, it seems really unlikely that Navajo would sick a Skinwalker on anyone. Like, they really don't want to have anything to do with it.
Or that they maybe could.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, there's no control necessarily the Navajo exert over Skinwalker, to your point, Jim. Like, and, it's... my perspective is, if a bunch of weird wiggity stuff was happening in this area, the Utes probably came up with a story as to why, right? Like, oh, yeah, they didn't like the Navajo, right? So they were probably like, well, a bunch of weird shit is happening here. I bet it's a Navajo curse, right? Because, those guys are always, they're slave driving, yada, yada, what, X, Y, and Z. I think especially in America, there's this perception of like the Indian tribes being this kind of like homogeneous mass of similarity, and that they all got along and everything was hunky-dory before the white man came along. No, they were murdering each other and they had tribal spats. They were nations at war a lot of times. That's what it was. So as much as Europe was at war constantly for most of history. So, it's pretty unclear. It seems like this story, it depends on who you ask why this area is the way it is. But eventually the area, it was part of a reservation for the Utes. And, as the U.S. government was prone to do, that area got smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually, white people moved in. And now it is, I think, still technically on tribal land, but as far as I'm aware, the Shermans were not. Gormans were not. I said the word. Now they're coming after me.
We've all goofed.
Shit.
Now the Shermans
are gonna get me.
Come after you.
No. They moved in. I don't think they were necessarily.
Patrick, what are you gonna say?
I know.
What am I gonna say? Okay.
Dio and I have both said something we meant not to. I'm curious what you're gonna slip up and.
Oh, don't worry. I'll say some stuff I'll regret. I always do.
The area in the Uintah Basin since like the 50s, at least, has been a UFO hotspot, and like every
UFO alley, they call it.
Yes, exactly. And so when I first began my research, I thought it was very funny that when I was looking, I literally started where everyone starts their research in 2024, Wikipedia.
The internet.
Exactly. And I went to Wikipedia, and I do click the little article tabs, and the first one that comes up is from the Deseret News, and we're going to pull it up here. And I thought it was very charming. and I promise I did real research after this.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, it is pretty charming. Let's we might have to go.
Is that
full
the
screen with
sun?
this. No. That is a UFO, my man. That is a UFO.
Sick.
From the Deseret
The
News.
sun's a UFO if you don't know anything.
True. Does it fly? Anyway. Monday, September 4th, 1978. UFO sightings keep Uintah Basin buzzing. The report here has this great drawing from a 13-year-old.
Fantastic.
I love it.
Cutest UFO ever.
That's a
It
full
is a
back
UFO.
tattoo for me, baby.
I know, right? That 13-year-old then Dale. That's right. Is it Dale Wood? Yes, it's Dale. So there's a Dale, a David, and a Drew in this story, and I think I mistyped one. 13-year-old Dale Wood of a fiery UFO. The article begins by noting that by this point, this is 1978, the basin was already a hotspot for UFO activity over the last decade, at least. It goes into the details of Dale's experience. While walking to his grandma's trailer, he heard the sound of a fiery, tuned, purring engine. There, over the horizon, was a silver dome-shaped object surrounded by green flames. According to the article, the object hovered directly above him, and Dale got a good look at the bottom of the craft. He could see lights there, with the middle light of greatest intensity. Dale claims that when he got the impression that he was being watched as this craft lingered above him. And when the UFO began to circle, Dale ran to tell his brothers who was staying at his nearby aunt's house. From there, Dale phoned his mom, who understandably thought Dale was full of shit. Then,
harsh.
Suddenly, all the air conditioning units and television sets in both trailers stopped working. All the dogs in the neighborhood started whining and braying, barking at something nearby. Dale's mother went outside to see what the hell was going on, only to find Dale's UFO circling overhead. It looped around twice and sped off into the northeast. She said that while it was happening, she froze and could only stare at the object, as if she was, in fear. After it had disappeared, she called the Ute tribal police chief, David Murray, who said he had seen it too. In fact, it was
two Daves.
That's two Daves. That's true. It was Dale and David, I think, right now. Dale and David. Yeah,
right.
There's so many D names in this story. In fact, according to the article, basically everybody in town saw it. So, this was a widely witnessed event. The account along with 400 others. So this account, along with 400 others in the area around Uintah Basin, was compiled by high school teacher Junior Hicks and Dr. Frank Salisbury of Utah University into a book called The Utah UFO Display, a biologist's report, which is hilarious because what does biology have to do with it? I don't know. But the 2010...
It might be biological. You don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. You're so right. I will say that I have the updated 2010 version coming to me. The Utah UFO Display was written in 1978, the same year as this article. I will get the newest version. Jesus Christ. I will get the newest version. I need to turn those off. I will ask people.
Sound alerts.
Yeah. I will ask that people maybe not do that during this show. Thanks very much. But hello. And the Utah. What was I totally lost track of where I was at. I got the book coming.
Thanks,
for.
Dan.
Don't listen to him. Keep doing it.
I know, right? I love that only you hear that. I don't think anybody in the stream.
Oh,
We
heard
didn't
it.
hear it.
Oh, you heard it?
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I
I've-
have the stream muted.
I have the
you
double audio
stream.
on.
Yeah, gotcha. I will be getting the new version. I think the Utah UFOs flap is very interesting. There are so many UFO cases in there. I'm very excited to get the new book. The sheer scope of it is like a 12-part docuseries in itself. It is it literally goes back from 1951 to it continues to this day. The area is lousy with UFOs. But we're talking about Skinwalker Ranch, the Uintah Basin. Again, I just want to set the context. Okay, this is where the Skinwalker Ranch lives. Okay, this is the area. The area is lousy with UFOs. The area is rife with traditions. It's like, even if it's just fertile ground for a story just like this. Okay, so. Like I said earlier, the bulk of our discussion tonight will center around the incidents as they relate.
We're 1 hour in.
Are we 1 hour into the show already? Guys, we are on page 4.
You're just finishing your preamble.
I did research. Hey, we had to do the weekly update, okay? I did research, goddammit. All right, I'll try to speed through this.
This might be a 3-week series.
I honestly, this is why I was literally doing research up into the wire, because there was so much. When I can't get distracted. We have to keep going. So, we're at least gonna get through the Sherman story. I have defined a Skinwalker. Listen, we're at Skinwalker Ranch. I set the stage. All right. As I mentioned, Gorman's not their real name. Whatever, you can find it out.
Sherman is the real name. You already said it.
There you go. Now, the thing to remember about them is that these people are like ranchers with a capital R, right? They move in to Skinwalker Ranch in 1994, and they're already established ranchers. And the ranch
it's not called that when they move in.
No, of course not. I mean, it's called Myers Ranch at this point.
Sure.
Right.
And it's, for the purposes of our discussion, it's Tom, his wife Ellen, and their 2 children who move in. Terry, Gwen, whatever. They move in along with some cattle, and they immediately notice some strange features of the homestead. All the windows, cupboards, everything with a hinge basically has a bolt on it, as if somebody wanted to make sure they could batten down every hatch in the house, which is a little strange. They knew that the ranch up until this point was abandoned for about 7 years prior. Yes.
Theo, question? Can you batten other things, or just a hatch?
I don't know. I think if you zip up your pants, you're technically battening a hatch.
Is that battening?
Right?
I'm battening the hatch.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, fam, batten the hatch.
Listen, let chat let us know. What else can you batten?
What else can you batten?
Like I said, locks everywhere. The previous owner, a man named Garth Myers, that should be noted, he never reported anything strange. Like he owned the house from I want to say his family owned it from like 1907. Like it was,
like 60 years.
Yeah, he owned it forever. And when all of this came out, he was just like, I don't know what the fuck anyone's talking about. So for sure.
Why all the locks? What the hell was he doing?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Also,
right?
I will say that his neighbors definitely reported weird shit. So it's a little bit of like, what the fuck was he doing on there? You know?
Yeah.
Even if you're not gonna take the supernatural explanation, it's weird. It was weird and definitely a little wiggity. What was going on over there? Let me pull up some photos. That's Skinwalker Ranch. So
that's it from which side, Dio?
From the top side.
Yeah, okay.
From the up-down side.
I can see it. No, I can see it. I was thinking left, but I see.
Yeah, I think it's the counterclockwise side.
Right.
When they moved in, after they moved in, it wouldn't take long for the first bit of high strangeness to occur. On the first night of their arrival on the ranch, the Shermans were unloading a truck of their things and setting up their new property. The first few bit of cattle were already moved into their pens, and it seemed like for the family that the future was bright. But in the distance, Tom Terry noticed a large black wolf in the distance approaching close, kind of looping towards them. Now, again, as I said earlier, these are ranchers with a capital R. They like seeing a wolf doesn't really faze these guys. Like they're very familiar with the wildlife. Tom was concerned. A large predator is on his land, but there wasn't any immediate like alarm, and especially because the wolf was coming in real friendly, like wagging its tail, like acting more like a curious dog than a fierce predator. Okay, and as it got closer and closer to the family, they realized the wolf was massive. Like, Tom is a tall man. He's over 6 feet, according to the book.
Okay, that's pretty tall.
And he said that the wolf came up to his shoulders. Like, its head came up to his shoulders. So we're talking massive. Dire wolf, yeah. Exactly. Something out of lore, okay? And it just comes up and it's wagging its tail and it's having it's just like, oh, we're going to meet the new people, right? The family, they start petting it. It's like, oh, must be somebody's pet, like that just got, that was let out, that is just coming to visit or something. I don't know. Things they didn't know at the time. The last wolf had been hunted out of the area in the 1920s. So this is 1994. We're 75 years past wolves in the area. So, but at the time they don't know. They were figuring this must be a pet. So most of the cattle in the pen were understandably upset, right? There's a giant wolf in the area. Animals aren't stupid about that shit. Like, they start to freak out. Except for one calf who seems curious and sticks his head out between the bars of the pen. In a flash, the wolf lunges at the poor animal, clasps its jaws around its neck, and tries to drag it out of the pen. Tom quickly grabs a bat and he starts just wailing on the wolf. He starts trying to beat the wolf off of the thing. It is kind of absurd. Like, the family gets
wolf
off. He's trying to
beat the wolf off?
Of the cattle, of the calf. Come on, guys. Listen, we're not
just making sure I heard you right. I just want to make sure that I understand your story.
Listen, yeah. You're
Tom's
trying to
beating off the wolf. Continue.
Visualize, yeah.
Right.
But so he's hitting it with this bat, and the wolf doesn't seem fazed. The family is kicking at the wolf. The wolf doesn't seem fazed. It just keeps trying to drag this calf out of it. Tom turns to his kid and says, "Get the Magnum." So his son goes into his truck, grabs a .357 Magnum, brings him back to Tom. Tom shoots the wolf in the torso, and the wolf does not let go. Doesn't seem fazed, doesn't do anything, doesn't seem to at all miffed at the bullet. Tom fires another shot. Again, no reaction, no blood, nothing. By this point, the calf is in its death throes, and the rest of the family is panicking. So Tom fires another shot, a third shot, and it seems like the wolf reluctantly lets go. Like, okay, fine. The wolf.
Well, if you're gonna shoot me about it,
yeah.
So the wolf retreats 10 feet from the family, and Tom can see that, like, there's no blood. There's no blood, there's no wounds, there's no nothing on this wolf. It was completely surreal. This massive creature, it just stares at him, basically being like, is that all you've got? Tom takes a force shot at the wolf with a Magnum, a .357 Magnum, and it backs up just a little bit more, but again, doesn't seem too bothered. And it mostly seems like it's just deciding whether or not to attack the calf again, or, to call it a day. Tom decides then that he needs to get a bigger gun. So he
Smart man.
calls for his son to get the 30-06 and pulls up his hunting rifle, lines up his shot, and again, the wolf is just standing there eerily still.
How far is he from the wolf in this story?
He is 40 feet from the wolf at this point.
Okay.
So he fires.
And the wolf's just staring him down?
It's just looking at him. It's just looking at him. Here, I got.
How long do you think how long does it take to go get a revolver, shoot a wolf a few times, go get another gun, how long does this standoff last?
I mean, it's got to happen in minutes, right? This is, I think, in the course of 5 minutes at most. Oh, I thought I had a good wolf photo.
You went past a wolf there at some point.
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
That guy?
No, there was.
It's just a good boy.
He was a cute little wolfie.
Did I put him in here?
It's crazy how they shot this wolf so many times. There's no evidence left behind. Weird.
Well, it wasn't bleeding. What evidence would there be?
So
that's the
wolf.
That's the wolf.
That's the guy.
No, wait. Yeah, this is the wolf man. Wait.
The police sketch.
Wait. The story's not over. So he fires the 30-06, hits the wolf. Nothing. Same reaction. Just stands there looking at him, unharmed, unaffected. Tom is not a man who gives up easily. He's gonna shoot this fucker one more time. This time, he shoots him, and he does see a chunk of flesh come ripping off of the wolf.
From 40 feet?
Yes.
All right. It's a big chunk.
Tom is stunned because the wolf, even despite this, still seems pretty casual. Still seems like, not a big deal. And after a beat, the wolf kind of, in a wolfy way, turns around, trots on off, as if nothing happened. Obviously, Tom can't have this kind of predator on his property. He gets his son. They go out to go chase the wolf, right? They follow the wolf through the trees. I mean, they have to get rid of the predator, right? Like, you kill a predator that's on your ranch. Like, that's ranching. So
to catch a predator. I've seen it. I know what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure that's what that show is about.
Yeah.
You have a seat.
So
what were you doing with this calf?
Nothing. I just showed up.
I brought it Wendy's. What?
That's not illegal.
So they follow the wolf through the trees until it gets to a creek, and they're following the wolf's tracks. Basically, I have a good photo here. They're basically following tracks in the mud. All right, and as they get to the creek, about 40 yards from the actual water, the tracks just stop. They're surrounded in this muddy bank. It's as if the wolf just leapt into the air and disappeared. Tom and his son don't see the wolf again that night. But clearly, something's there. At this point, they're not even, worried. They're not thinking anything is supernatural at this point. They're just thinking, holy shit, there's a really big wolf. I mean, Tom, the way he's characterized in Hunt for the Skinwalker is very no nonsense. The way he's characterized is he, up until basically the end of the investigation that eventually happens, thinks that there's a predator animal that's trying to kill everything. That's what he thinks. I will take a moment to say hello, cringy puff over at YouTube. Sorry if I'm not interacting with the chat. I've got a lot to get through.
I have an artist rendering from this is, I think Tom provided this to the police of the predator that he saw.
Yeah.
God
That,
damn.
that's a
That
good
is
likeness.
frightening.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is just the first day, mind you. This is the first day. Oh, so where's the wolf chunk, Scav? I have the answer for this.
They ate
They
it.
come back from the for all intents and purposes hunting that wolf. Tom goes down to investigate the piece of flesh that came off of the wolf. When he looks at it, and he shot the whole thing took about an hour or two, basically, from the wolf attack to them trying to chase it down to them coming back. So the chunk of flesh you would assume would be fairly fresh, but this was like
Fresh
rotten.
flesh.
Like it
Fresh
was
flesh.
It was fresh.
Fresh
Actually,
flesh.
fresh bit of flesh. But it was a festering, rotting chunk of meat, despite having only come off of the animal just an hour before. So spooky, strange.
Yeah.
Uh,
Unbelievable, even.
All right. So, first day, they try to put this surreal incident out of their mind. But overall, the strangeness doesn't stop. Over the next few weeks, the wife, Ellen, notices
The
that...
wife.
The wife, Ellen.
The wife.
The wife, my wife, would notice things would end up missing. For example, whenever she'd bring groceries home and put them away, she'd later find them all put back in the bag as if she had just brought them home.
That's not missing. That's just strangely organized.
I mean, whatever. In another instance, she'd leave a towel or a brush to use after a shower, only to find
And then
them
find it
gone.
cleanly washed and folded. Back in the linen closet.
God damn it, Jim! It's high strangeness.
I mean, it would be high strange if Tom ever put a towel away. Did a load of laundry for once. Tom.
I do kind of want to see the sitcom.
Tom Gorman.
Gorman.
Sorry.
I do want to see the sitcom that takes place on Skinwalker Ranch. You know, it's just like a normal
let's
sitcom, but there's
pitch it.
just crazy shit happening in the background. Anyway,
Some high strangeness going on.
exactly.
Keeping up with the Gormans, yeah.
Keeping up with the Gormans. At first, understandably, Ellen thought she was just simply losing her mind. Like, that she was, like, getting older and losing memory. She thought she was the
I
problem.
think that sometimes
basically.
too.
Yeah, I mean, understandable. Very relatable thought.
Yeah.
But one day, Tom comes home, and he's mad. He's mad, and he's accusing the family, like, what did you guys do with the post digger I was just using? And the family has no idea what he's talking about. They were in the house the entire time. But Tom tells them, he's like, well, I was just out. I was fixing a fence. I turned away to go work on something. I turned back. The post digger's gone. One of you clearly took it. What's going on? And they presumably have no idea what he's talking about. So they go to help him look for it. They can't find it. A few weeks later, Tom does eventually find the post digger. He finds it 75 feet up in the air in a tree on the other side of the ranch. The post digger weighs 70 pounds. So how it got
That's
up
not
there,
where he keeps it?
Is that where you keep your post digger, Jim?
I don't have a post digger. I'm just asking the clarifying questions to you. I just want to make sure. Is that sure?
whole
70 feet up in a tree is high, but is it strange?
Pretty sure Tom did not keep the same habits as this squirrel. I think he kept things mostly on the ground. So,
All right.
Okay.
Ellen, over the next couple of weeks, Ellen would go and spot the wolf from the first night every so often on the property. Each time she would try to go out, or she would tell Tom, and Tom would grab his rifle, and the wolf would just disappear. That guy is going in the background. God damn it.
I'm helping. I'm giving you a little visual.
I appreciate that.
Wolf shows up. Tom comes in with his rifle.
Get on
Wolf
outta here.
disappears.
Mhm.
Rawr, rawr.
But the wolf is not the only entity that makes an appearance. Or maybe it's better to say it's not the only form an entity takes. One evening, Tom and his son are out after a day working on the ranch. Ahead of them, they see across the pasture a pair of lights. Okay, and at first they're like, "Oh, this looks like an RV, like a pair of lights from an RV, like some tourist or somebody drove onto the property somehow, and got on their land, annoying, but." Again, at this point, like, sure, a couple of strange things happen, but they're not in full, like, something fucking weird is going on.
Well, they're in denial.
No, they're in Skinwalker Ranch. The Nile's in Egypt. But I'll do it to myself.
I was waiting.
But as they see look at these headlights out there, they approach and they soon realize that what they thought that they thought that the headlights belonged to an RV, but in actuality, it was a kind of strange cigar-shaped craft. And as it got closer, it rose up into the air and floated silently over the ridge and out into the distance.
Not an RV. Or a very expensive RV.
Very expensive RV, exactly. That wouldn't be the only time they saw this craft. Later, Tom and his wife saw it on a trail while hiking. And similarly, each time they would try to get closer to it to try to investigate, it would silently glide away from them. And this second instance of it, the two of them described feeling like this, whatever it was like toying with them. Like every time they got a little closer, it would move away just out of reach. They'd let it get a little closer, move it away, like it was taunting them. And it was the first time that they got the sense that there was some sort of like malicious, malevolent entity behind it, like, or at least something with like trickster kind of nature. Eventually the UFOs forms like start to evolve as time goes on. So at first it's this kind of cigar, or they describe it as like a refrigerator shaped kind of UFO. And eventually it turns into this triangular black UFO with multicolored lights that shoot out from underneath it. Tom described it as reminding him of like a B-2 bomber. But it would be completely silent. He encounters it one time during the winter, and as he like basically has to hunker down in the snow as he sees it, and the moment he moves, it like rushes up towards him and starts scanning the area for him, but just passes him by. It doesn't find him. Weeks after this, Ellen is alone on the property as Tom and the kids were, out. Tom was out of town for business.
At Six Flags.
Yes, they were having a great time. And as she's driving home or back to the homestead of the property, she could feel kind of like this dark shadow over her car. Looking up, she sees the triangular shaped UFO. Keeping pace just about 20 feet above her as she's driving. It has the same multicolored lights that Tom had described to her and silently flew right above her. She floors it and the object keeps pace. And when she reaches the house, she scrambles inside and the object just flies over the head over the horizon. I do actually think that some people call these Dorito UFOs as well. So the triangle UFOs. Ellen calls her husband, who manages to calm her down, despite her justifiable fear. But an hour later, Ellen looks out at the property and she sees again what looks like an RV parked in front of the field in her house. Except this time, the interior is illuminated. And she sees what she thought looked like a desk. She couldn't really, she didn't understand how the RV could have gotten on the property. At this section of the ranch, there's only one gated entrance in, and it's on the other side of the house from where she's looking out. So she would have noticed, presumably, if somebody had driven in. She then sees this figure silhouetted from the interior walk over to the desk, sit at the desk for a moment, and presumably do something there. It's
Taxes. Wearing
this like black uniform. Yeah, it's doing his space taxes. And some sort of like headgear. After a beat, the figure stands up and goes to an opening on the side of the object and just stares out, presumably at Ellen. She feels like this thing is looking at her. And what's more is she's, if she's still in like, oh, this is some sort of weird RV, I'm not sure what I'm looking at. But if what I'm looking at is right, she thinks this thing is like 7 feet tall. It's like a huge guy. She panics, calls her husband again, and he drives down that night. And when they investigate in the morning, the only thing they find are 2 huge footprints, 18 inches long, smooth with a very prominent heel. No tread. So, whatever it was. This was the...
that seems consistent with straight line fingerprints, Dio. You seemed skeptical earlier.
I'm seeing connections.
That guy was not wearing a black spacesuit, okay?
There's not now.
Checkered shirt.
He could have been.
True.
He could have been wearing a
shirt.
blue plaid shirt earlier.
That was the Skinwalker.
Imagine how cute he'd be. Oh, fine.
It's
someone Photoshop that. Drop it in Dio's Discord.
Please do it.
Put a little collared shirt on that guy. Business shirt. Put him at a desk doing his taxes. In his RV.
It was, according to Hunt for the Skinwalker, it was after this encounter the Gormans finally believed they were in danger. This was when they decided something's watching me.
That's how long it took.
Oh yeah. Again, these are apparent. The book spares no pages to explain how hardy these people are. Generally, I'm going to run down a couple other weird stuff that happens. They start seeing these orange structures that appear on the horizon. That's what they call them. They take on different shapes. Sometimes they're flat, sometimes they're round. At one point, Tom looks at one through the scope of his rifle, and he thinks that he sees a blue sky beyond it, like it's a opening of a portal or something. At times, the black triangular UFOs seem to fly out of them. He describes seeing objects beyond them. Shortly after this is when the cattle mutilations start. And I will just say, really, I will say from here on out, trigger warning for animals getting harmed. It happens a lot from here on out.
Dio, you shot a wolf like 8 times 45 minutes ago.
That wasn't that was a Skinwalker, okay? That was clearly
What?
a Skinwalker. Guys.
I thought it was a big wolf.
Heapus, no worries. Thank you for checking in. So it would be cattle mutilations. They would find the cattle with their ears cut off and only can be best described as their guts sucked out of their anus. All right, that's what happens. Yeah.
Vivid.
I think I have a picture
of that. Don't.
Yeah, pull that up.
Hold on. I got one. I can get one.
Oh my god.
I got
Wasn't
one.
there one where didn't they like drill a hole through an eyeball? Is that these guys?
No. Oh, here's my Skinwalker wolf.
There's
That's
the
actually,
wolf.
That's actually a wolf named Skinwalker.
That's its name?
Yeah, it was his name. Where
Pretty
is this
cool.
bad boy? Well, no preview available. God damn it. That's the one I wanted to preview. You dirty fuck. Anyway, you'll just have to believe me. In the meantime, we'll just.
Do we
Sure.
have to? Is that a moral
was
obligation?
No. It's fine. It's fine. I'm ruined.
Legally, you must believe Dia.
The cattle mutilations actually had been a feature of the Uintah Basin for a while, so it seems like the Skinwalker Ranch was just catching up. They would also see blue orbs, and these would appear to them to be kind of made out of glass with blue swirling torrents inside. The orbs seem to be able to also to project emotions. Like the blue orb ends up being like Tom's nemesis, because it makes him feel feelings. I think Tom was.
Ooh, men hate that.
Men hate feeling feelings, dude. So he was like, basically, he and the entire family, and later the researchers and writers of the book described that the blue orbs would project this overwhelming feeling of dread, and that like. It was debilitating. From rearranging furniture to mutilating animals, escalating behavior. Exactly.
Yeah. The pranks are
yeah.
getting intense now.
Yeah.
And it was, in fact, the blue orbs that were the final straw for the family. One night while Tom was observing...
They were like, murder our cattle, fine. Making me feel things. No way, blue orb. You get off my property.
Listen, how dare you make me feel my own feels?
Get out of
There he
here.
is. There he is.
Look at that cold man.
I mean,
Yeah.
steely. A hardy man, 6 feet tall. It was these orbs that became the final straw for the Gormans. One night, Tom was observing the strange phenomenon through a scope, and a blue orb appeared in the distance. It was just slightly larger than a baseball. But Tom just, he was getting sick of this. Like, cows were dying. His life, like, remember, this is his, like, not only his home, but his business as well. Like, his entire life is on the line. And all of this shit is happening, and it's building up, and his family is at its wit's end as well. So he sees this blue orb, and something in him kind of snaps. He just finally had enough. And so Tom has, dogs on the property, and he says, fuck it, go get them, and releases his dogs. And he hoped that the dogs would chase it away. And so the dogs run after the object, trying to bite at it. But the orb, as usual, just keeps dodging it. It does that same kind of playful, ha ha ha, you can't get me kind of motions that it had been doing when it was the refrigerator UFO. It had been doing basically this entire time. Like, all these strange occurrences just had this nature of like, ha, you see me, but you can't catch me. That kind of thing. And the dogs were getting more and more riled up. It was just toying with them. But then Tom notices that, like, it seemed to be leading the dogs into an area of the tree line. And just as the dogs leave his sight, he hears a truly horrifying noise. The pained cries of his dogs. At that moment, Tom's heart sinks. He knows the worst has happened, and there's no more. He can't hear the dogs after that, and he just can't bring himself to look for the animals at that night.
You should never sick your dogs on an alien.
Clearly.
That seems real common sense to me.
Learn nothing from Mothman.
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, that's
Was
2
he not
weeks in a
listening
row.
to us last
Is
week?
this
I
becoming
know.
a thing?
Listen.
I mean,
Mothman was just
it
trying
does
to
happen
feed.
a lot.
Mothman was just trying to feed. This one feels mean. So the next morning he gets up, and when he can muster the courage, he goes out to try to look for his dogs. He gets to the spot where the orb had led them, and the air around it was filled with the smell of burnt flesh. And there in a small clearing were the charred remains of his animals, surrounded by a circle of burnt grass. They had been reduced to nothing more than 3 greasy piles of flesh, and Tom nearly vomits at the sight of this, and he's just at that point he's like, fuck this. We're moving out. I can't handle this. We can't handle this. This is beyond the pale. Now, up until this point, like, Tom had been, at first he wasn't saying much about what was going on in his ranch, but after a certain point, he starts asking around, like, what the hell is going on? He starts talking to people in the town, and eventually, his story reaches the papers nearby, and eventually goes to the national headlines. And it's through one of the articles that Skinwalker Ranch draws the attention of Robert Bigelow. Robert Bigelow is a real estate mogul who, when he's not presumably raising the rent on people, decides to investigate the paranormal. And he sets up this organization called the National Institute for Discovery Science, or NIDS for short. And it's here that the authors of Hunt for the Skinwalker Ranch, or Hunt for the Skinwalker, come in to the story. That's Colm Kelleher, PhD, and George Knapp of Coast to Coast AM fame. As part of the research team, Kelleher deployed scientific equipment to the ranch to try find some proof of the phenomenon. And it was him and a bunch of other researchers who, in the book, he does not name, but, presumably they're top guys. Best that money could buy.
I don't think this made it into the book, but I did see, I was doing some deep research, and I saw that the researchers were named Dio, Patrick, and Jim. Unrelated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's just what their names were.
God damn it, Jim.
I don't know what that means.
God damn it. You don't know how much. You just don't know, man. You just don't know. I gotta get to it. After the NIDS team set up shop, most of the encounters revolved around cattle mutilations from that point out. That was a lot of what ended up happening. The strange thing about these, aside from the obvious, was that they all seem to happen, unlike like a chupacabra situation, where like cow goes missing at night, farmer can't find cow. Next day, farmer finds cow. Cow is drained of blood and mutilated, right? That's the normal cattle mutilation. But
that's a vaca cabras. Oh no, I killed him. Did I kill Dio?
You shut him down.
I zinged him so hard he broke.
Anyway, what would happen with the cattle at Skinwalker Ranch was they would tag the cattle, like put a tag on their ear, and the cattle would show up mutilated an hour later. Like, it would happen that quickly.
Wait, it happened specifically to the ones that they tagged?
A lot of cases, yeah. But at this point, so what had happened was, like, the family sells the ranch to Bigelow, and they move out. But Tom comes back to kind of be a ranch hand and basically to help all the scientists, like, run a ranch. And he's also
to keep the cows happy until they're murdered.
Well, I mean, yeah, right. And basically his family's not living there anymore, but his, the livestock is still living there. Yeah,
sure.
So, they
sell for what, like $750,000 or something?
The property most recently sold for only $500,000.
Whoa! I thought, but when the Bigelow bought it, it was like a pretty hefty chunk, right? Like enough that they didn't have to ranch anymore. They were okay.
I don't think so. I think they were still
really?
ranchers. Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, as far as I can tell, the family didn't really make any money off of this. Like,
Oh.
I think there's this perception that like people who have like these strange like encounters sell their story and make money off of it. That's not what happened here. Like
Well, they sold their ranch.
Yeah, well, right. Well, right, exactly. They sold the ranch, but they ended up like continuing to lease it basically back from Bigelow and keep their property on there. Like they sold Bigelow some of their cattle too.
Oh.
Like they were like kind of basically they kind of got out of their livelihood, during this. So so after one cattle mutilation involving a young calf on March 12th, 1997, Kelleher, Tom, and a vet encountered what might have been stalking the cattle. They find something that could be it. While they were discussing mutilations inside one of their equipment trailers, because at this point Nids has moved a bunch of equipment in, and we're setting up shop. They heard the presumably new dogs that the team had like start to bray anxiously.
Why bring more dogs, man?
Well, they ended up using dogs as
At some
kind of
point,
like
it's cruel.
I mean, they also were like intentionally using the cows as bait, so there's cruelty
Right.
all about here.
Sure, but everyone murders cows. Culturally, that's cool.
Yeah.
We're all cow mutilators.
So something is clearly lurking nearby. They're freaking out. Tom still believes that, like, despite the fact that these mutilations are happening, which I should point out, like, the way that the cows would be arranged when they were mutilated, it would be like this combination of brutality and surgical efficiency. It would be like they pull apart the legs, but then arrange them in a very particular way. And there would never be any blood on the site. And all of the organs would be removed. It would like hollow out this poor animal, put it on this weird display, and there would be no blood. So they had no idea how any of it was happening. And so, while one night after all this is happening, or one such mutilation had happened, the dogs suddenly go mad around 11 p.m. and Tom and Kelleher just go out into the darkness to see what was up. Tom is hell bent on trying to kill whatever has been doing this. And so Kelleher, and another physicist pile into his truck and drive into the darkness to check on the cattle, to see what's going on. Tom basically is going to find this thing no matter what. At a distance, they spot a cow that was near the tree line away from the herd. So Tom thinks this cow is in trouble. So he drives the truck towards it, and as they approach, two huge yellow eyes blink into existence on the tree line above the cow. Tom skids to a stop merely 50 yards away from the creature and draws his rifle. It's the same 30-06 he used to shoot the wolf that first night. And like...
I drew it earlier.
Oh my god. Cats in my house, other cats in my house just got into a fight and scared the ever-living shit out of me. Holy crap. Sorry. So
You thought
he pulls...
you said Skinwalker too much.
I know. I started hearing this weird noise. I'm like, oh, fuck. So Tom levels the rifle to shoot the creature, and instantly, like, he fires a shot and the eyes disappear. So he's like, I got him. I saw the thing fall from the tree. So they jump in the truck again. They're like 50 yards away from it. They drive right up to it. But frustratingly, there's no sign of the creature. So they split up to look for it. A moment later, Tom yells out, I see him! And he fires 2 more shots into the night. But again, as the men approach where Tom have claimed to have shot the creature, they find nothing. By Tom's estimate, the creature should have been huge. It should have left huge tracks in the snow, This was during the winter, and it should have been bleeding out by this point. There was nothing until Kelleher finds a single track. It is a large oval in the snow with 2 large claw marks jutting out like a raptor footprint. And the impression is deep. If it's the same creature that made this footprint, Tom was underestimating its size. It would have been 400, 500 pounds. The trio searches 2 more hours in the snow. They find another similar impression, but no blood, no creature. The next day...
sorry, can I just contextualize for people? Just to help you get your mind around it. Andre the Giant, 520 pounds.
Yeah, okay. Oh, there's the cow mutilation.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. The next day, Tom tells Kelleher and the physicist that he didn't shoot just 1 creature. He shot 2. That the first creature was different than the second creature that he shot. And that the first one was this kind of like hulking bird-like creature. And the second one was like a 400-pound wild dog. And he was adamant that he had actually hit them. Like and again, Hunt for the Skinwalker paints Tom out to be like the manliest man who ever manned, and is a great shot and would never miss. So
fantastic eyesight, sees all this in the dark.
There's literally a moment where it's like, Tom has great eyesight and a keen ear.
He eats a lot of carrots.
He really does.
He eats his
apparently.
carrots.
But again, no physical proof of anything, and this would be a pattern. People would have these strange occurrences, no physical proof at the end of the day. So I'm gonna yada a little bit for time, and get to...
Wait, for time? You're trying to stall for time?
No,
Damn.
Because I've realized we've taken up the entire time.
Yeah. We might not make it to the phone lines tonight. I'm sorry, folks.
That's it. Yeah, fair enough.
Try to dip into that for the second half, but I mean, unless you want to go long, we can go. I can go long. I don't know about you.
I don't know how much long I want to go, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna at least try to wrap this up in the next few minutes.
Can I throw out a fact? I just
Yes.
checked. I was super wrong. They sold it in 1996 for $200,000. It's like 550 acres or something. 200 grand, which with inflation would be $400,000, which is not enough money to live out the rest of your life on.
No. Like I said, they did not get rich on this. Like,
yeah, for some reason I thought it was like $500,000, which even with inflation would just be $1 million, which isn't enough for a whole family to live forever.
Right? No,
So.
not even close. Let me see. I'm gonna skip over the story about the 4 prized bulls. Thankfully, the bulls aren't harmed, but basically the gist of it is
The guy goes to the farm and the farmer says, "You're welcome to spend the night here, but don't sleep with my 4 prize bulls."
they're beautiful black.
And he goes into the barn, and he meets up with the first bull.
The important part about that story is basically what ends up happening is some bulls that were pinned up end up in a trailer somehow without anyone having moved them, with the locks remaining in place. And when the scientific investigators come out, they see, they detect like that the pen has been magnetized, and so there starts to be this. The only like evidence that they find is like these magnetic field distortions that happen whenever the events occur. And so like you pull out your compass and your compass starts spinning wildly, or
The
pointing
only
in
physical
directions.
evidence was invisible.
Exactly. I mean, and there's an entire tale of an invisible creature that like parts a herd of cattle that they can follow with their compass. But again,
That's cool, actually.
Yeah, it's an interesting visual, and like a lot of the
Write
stuff
that
there,
down in the notes for the sitcom.
Will do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a B story, like a kid using a compass to follow this invisible monster.
As the NIDS research team continued their study, they would encounter some of the typical strange phenomenon that the family had experienced up until this point, including strange odors. They would smell like this decaying, horrible
Like the
smell.
inside of a cow.
Yeah. Well, no, that's actually something that they wouldn't smell. That they noted every time. Like it did not, because basically all the organs were
Like all
removed.
the
All the
viscera,
really
yeah.
smelly stuff was removed. So no,
Weird.
they wouldn't smell that, but they would get this like decaying smell. That chunk of flesh from the first night had this horrible odor to it, like decayed meat, and they would smell that from time to time. But for a while, like the phenomenon kind of died down, as if kind of like it had shown whatever entity had shown its entire hand, and like it was content to kind of wrap everything up from here. So the that is until a summer night in August. Kelleher and a colleague were surveying the property as they did around midnight that night, and they had brought with them 2 dogs, which they used as a kind of living radar for the paranormal. The dogs freak out, something weird is about to happen. Kelleher had a high-powered flashlight with him, and his colleague had night vision binoculars. Suddenly, they see a blue sphere 75 feet ahead of them. The dogs immediately freak out. They can see it casts light on the plant life around it, and as Kelleher is about to pull the flashlight out and point it at this thing, and this is like one of those high lumens flashlights, the thing disappears. The 2 go into the area, same shit, different day, can't find anything, right? All of a sudden, but as they're like walking back, his colleague is scanning the horizon with his binoculars, and all of a sudden he exclaims, "Jesus!" and he freezes. There's a huge black thing in the trees just in front of us. Kelleher gets his camera out, to take a long exposure, and even though he can't really see what the man is talking about, he starts trying to take some pictures of it. The man continues, "It's big. It's blocking out the stars." And Kelleher, again, he's focusing on taking the pictures, while the man continues to be trained on this object. So he's taking little photos, and we're talking like 20-second long exposures, right? Long exposures. And then after a beat, the man cries out, "It's got me! It's saying we are watching you." And after a frantic moment, the man like sighs as if something kind of releases him and says, "It's getting smaller. It's gone." It's the black dick. The man seemed to have been released by something. He relays to Kelleher that whatever it was, it had taken over his mind. That's how he describes it. Kelleher and the man returned back to the camp, clearly shaken by what had just occurred. But what did it all mean? And how did these orbs, creatures, and lights, how does it all relate to each other? Kelleher couldn't put it together. That is until August 25th, 1997. A few weeks after this event where the man got psychically taken over, 2 other investigators were camped out on the ranch. Now, hunt for the Skinwalker with like everybody else's names except for our lead. Our man changed all the names. So in the book they call them Mike and Jim. But for our purposes, we'll call them Pat and Jim. So Pat and Jim the 2 were out on watch along with other groups of NIDS investigators. They had Pat and Jim positioned themselves on the bluffs in an area, you can kind of see it in this kind of area, looking over the ranch. From there, they can see a lot of the ranch. They've got the same kind of equipment that Kelleher and his colleague had, night vision goggles, a host of other tools of the paranormal trade. And Jim, who the book notes was the most experienced investigator on the team,
Facts.
climbs down the bluffs into the pastures below to meditate. The book says that he, through his empirically believed that meditations tended to kickstart the strange events happening every so often. So he was trying to get something to
Gotta
happen.
open your mind.
Exactly. He's opening his mind. So this time nothing happened, and Jim climbs back up to rejoin Pat on the bluff.
Shucks.
At 2:30 a.m., after a 6-hour watch, the two decide to pack up and head in for the night. As they're making their way back to the homestead, Jim's eye catches a light on the track 150 feet below them. It was small, and it seemed to be about ground level. And at first, Jim thought it might be a piece of glass or some other kind of bit of reflective debris that just caught the light. But after a few moments, he notices that the light is glowing brighter. He nudged Pat, and the two of them quickly agreed that it was getting bigger as well as brighter. So Jim grabs the camera, and Pat fixes the night vision binoculars on the light as Jim prepares to take a long exposure they have infrared film to develop it on. Pat sucks in on his teeth. It's not just a tunnel, or it's a tunnel, not just a light, he whispers. Jim keeps taking photos. He's not paying attention or perhaps he doesn't even know what to make of what Patrick just told him. But then
I'm just mad that he sucked his teeth and didn't let me suck his teeth.
Well,
oh. Jesus Christ. Pat says,
Leave my teeth
At that
alone.
comment,
leave my
yeah.
teeth be. Jesus Christ, Patrick says, something's in the tunnel. Oh my God. There's a black creature climbing out. I see its head. It has no face. Oh my God. It just climbed out. This is how
How do you... Is it a head if there's no face on it?
I think you can have a head.
What makes it
without
a
face.
head? What defines a head?
Where your brain is?
Is that what it is? It's your brain case?
It's
I
above the
don't know.
neck. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
It's just
above
what's
the neck,
above the neck?
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's how Patrick described it. Take it up with him.
There you
But Jim couldn't see any
go.
of
A
this.
noggin. Thank you.
Whatever it was could only be seen through the night vision. So Jim keeps taking exposures after exposures, hoping to just get something on film. It's out. It just walked away. Jim sees the tunnel, the light start to fade away and recede back basically into this small little pinprick. And Patrick, who at this point is beside himself, is insisting to Jim that a huge black humanoid creature had crawled out of the tunnel and walked away. And whatever it was
A
now
Slender Man.
lurking in the darkness with them. So the two freeze. They silence themselves and they're listening for any sign of anything climbing up the bluff to come get them. Because at this point, they're freaked out. After a few minutes, nothing, they hear nothing. And when I say they hear nothing, they say they heard nothing. There was no animal sounds, nothing. The crickets had stopped. After a few minutes, like 15 minutes, they quietly start trying to make their way to base camp. But as they get down the bluff, they start to smell that sickening odor again. The same one from the chunk of flesh, the same one that had appeared every so often for the family. My cat just puked inside of me. Gross. That's something for me to figure out later.
Did you just smell it first? Is that how you knew?
Yeah. So But aside from the smell, no tracks. Again, the constant refrain of this story. No other physical evidence. The photos had nothing on them. Their instruments failed to pick up any radiation or magnetism. But according to Kelleher, Pat and Jim, to this day, swear that a huge 7-foot tall, 400-pound humanoid creature pulled itself through that tunnel in the bluff. So I ask you, what could possibly have come out of the tunnel, guys?
Are you actually asking us?
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Alive.
what does it sound
Tall
like?
tale.
What creature, 7 feet tall, huge and humanoid, weighs over 400 pounds?
Andre the Giant? Is that where you're going?
It's-
Come on, guys.
Are you
You
pushing
know
Skin?
him?
Are you
You
pushing
love
for a
him?
Mothman?
No, guys. It's
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot, obviously.
Holy fuck, it's
It's
Harry Ferry and the
Bigfoot.
Harrisons.
Come
Holy
on.
fuck. Oh my god.
Who else would it be but the
a
man
Mothman?
himself, Bigfoot? There you go. While the idea that Bigfoot is the root cause of Skinwalker Ranch phenomenon might sound ridiculous, there's actually compelling evidence. And let me lay it out for you.
For some
Man-
reason, I really thought this was all going to lead back to, forgive me for saying it, Skinwalkers. And it feels weird that all of that hour and a half of lead up.
Yeah.
It's Bigfoot, baby!
Bigfoot's
It's been a
Bigfoot.
big Bigfoot reveal.
Oh my god.
You love it.
But they didn't describe massive mommy milkers coming out of the portal.
Listen, it was dark. All right.
Okay.
But you're right. You're right. Listen, there's some holes. There's some holes.
Okay.
There's some
Okay.
holes.
Holes
All
big
right.
enough for a Bigfoot to crawl through.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Bigfoot. Many Native American traditions, the wild man is a creature that can traverse worlds. Interdimensional.
That's
As a
rude.
kind of light-sided skinwalker, if you will.
Huh.
All right. Sometimes they are thought of just as changelings as well. They can change form. They can turn into coyotes. They can do all sorts of other magic. Modern Bigfoot sightings also are accompanied by what? UFOs, strange
And a
lights in
stink
the
sometimes.
skies, and a stink sometimes. Yes, Jim. Now you're
Skunk apes,
getting it.
baby.
Now you're here on the Bigfoot train with me.
I want to
Bigfoot.
get off the Bigfoot train, dude.
You cannot. The
Dude.
Bigfoot train has no brakes.
Oh my-
And a few months after the incident, a couple driving along the road adjacent to Skinwalker Ranch reported seeing a large hairy man gliding across the field, moving as if friction did not matter to him. They described it as could only be a Sasquatch. Guys, Bigfoot is the cause. All right? That's what I'm saying.
Trying to take this all in.
Yeah, this is a real curveball for me.
Listen.
I did
It
not
all
see this
just
coming.
think about it. Just think about it, but don't think about it too hard. All right, but whether all right, but we'll bring it back home. We'll wrap this thing up now. Whether the entity is Bigfoot, Skinwalker, or something else, the tunneling incident was basically the climax of this story. After that, not a whole lot happened. There was a couple of incidents with like some cameras that got destroyed. I didn't really find that story very compelling. In Hunt for the Skinwalker, Keller suspects that maybe, because NIDS came in with all of their equipment and kind of this, big investigative team, that they somehow like stopped any future events from happening. They basically, he says that Tom was like, you guys should have been like more, smaller about it. You should have gone in
Like
with
more
a little
low-key,
more finesse,
subtle.
more low key, right? Like you should have tried to sneak up on these events. Like you should have been less like trying to be proactive to get them to happen. You should have let them kind of happen to you, because from
I
Tom's
mean,
perspective,
if it is Bigfoots, they are notoriously shy.
right, exactly. And it is Bigfoot. And but they, like I said, NIDS are taking this kind of bull in a china shop approach, as Tom called it, and so they ended up with no physical evidence of anything. And
What about all the mutilated cows?
well, aside from that, but like they can't tell who did that, right? Like they can't, they had
Sure.
no answer for who did that.
Yeah. It could have been Old Man Myers.
It could have been Grumpy Myers. It could have been.
Yeah.
In the years since, like the family has shied away from really any kind of interviews, like especially now, they really don't have anything to do with all the bullshit that's happening there now. In 2002, the whole story came to light with the article Path of the Skinwalker by George Knapp, which eventually led to the book. The book eventually led to everything else. There have been multiple follow-up investigations, but none of them have been as compelling as the Gorman's account or as the NIDS research. In 2016, Robert Bigelow sold the ranch to Brandon Fugel. Is it Fugel or Fugel? I don't know.
Fugle, yeah.
Fugel to an Adamantium Real Estate LLC. Unlike Bigelow, it seems like Fugel at least is less interested in doing any kind of investigations unless cameras are involved. And he has basically taken out service marks on licensing, selling merchandise, all that stuff on Skinwalker Ranch. He closed Skinwalker Ranch and put it under armed guard. I think I have a picture from, I have a picture.
I saw
of
that
what
picture of a
looks-
guy like with an AR or standing
Yeah,
outside the
yeah.
gate of.
Oh, thank you,
Disgusting.
Hazard, for the 14 months. Thank you.
Dean.
But yeah, he put up all these signs, no trespassing. He basically closed it down to anybody trying to do any investigative research. And, recently there's been 5 seasons of the show, Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. During research, I did watch some of it. And,
That must have been rough.
yeah, it's hard for me to watch that kind of show, because I've worked and I've seen how those kinds of shows get made, and to buy into what is being shown to me is a really high bar. Like none of that seemed particularly compelling. It felt very scant. So it seems for now, serious scientific inquiry into the Skinwalker Ranch has ceased in favor for tabloids.
Ended with the Bigelows.
Yeah, it's gone. It's now tabloidistic reality TV. So I personally believe that whatever crawled out.
I had a thought, Dio.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Tell me about whatever crawled.
No, I want to hear what your thought is.
I was thinking about this earlier, about saying it and about using the word and about using the native word and about how really I think, because I, again, have read a lot of accounts of people talking about these particular witches and then being attacked in various ways. That is, and I think even if that isn't part of the story, that is a famous idea, and a lot of people discuss that. And I was thinking about how I think it's this newest guy named it Skinwalker Ranch, right? Because I've heard about this place called Sherman Ranch, Gorman Ranch. I've heard about it called UFO Ranch. I had never heard this term until you guys started talking about it the other day. And I was realizing, if the idea is the more you discuss them, the more you talk about them, the more likely they are to get you. And these guys have used that. They've made it a brand. They have brought it up into the public consciousness. They are making people talk about it all the time. I wonder if part of the idea is that they are trying to get them to show up there. They're trying. They're like, come get me. I've got cameras. They're hoping that they can harness this scary element as a way to bring them in. But maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Maybe they just think it's a scary word and want to make money.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that that's their primary concern. And
Oh yeah.
I don't think I personally believe that whatever, if something crawled out of that tunnel,
And it did.
it's gone. It left. Like, that was it leaving. You know? Because even at the time that Nid showed up, right? This is an area with so much tradition and lore, and is a place where just magical things were said to have happened for hundreds of years. And even when in the 90s, as Nids was showing up, that space was being infringed upon by this like ruthless scientific pursuit to try to put in a box what people had lived and coexisted with for decades and millennia, basically. So I think whatever crawled out there said, see you guys later, and found that the area was like getting really crowded with a bunch of squares who just wanted to say, hey, we got this thing. And, if it comes back one day, we'll see. But I don't think as long as they're, flying drones and cylinders and whatever weird-ass fucking experiments they're doing there now, I don't think anything's coming back. And I don't think they're ever going to find anything interesting other than... But they'll certainly make $1. So...
That's interesting, in a
they
way.
sure will.
Yeah. But yes. So... That's all I got on the
that's it?
Skinwalker, folks. I'm done!
I don't
I'm
know if we're
done!
going to fill out the episode today. We're going to have to really stall for time.
The phone lines are open.
Hey! If anyone wants to call immediately.
Yeah, you've got 3 minutes to call in. Anyways, what do you guys think? All right, Patrick. I know you've been just seething.
Yeah,
you
go off,
ready?
baby.
I'm ready. I go off,
Right,
King.
right. Everything that you said comes straight out of this book. This
Correct.
one book.
Correct.
Okay, so first of all, the authors of the book went on Joe Rogan, and the hard-nosed journalist he is, he pressed them over.
His
and
nose
over
does
again.
look
He said-
hard.
It does, yeah.
It
He's
does.
probably
It's
been
rock
punched
hard.
in.
Well, he wouldn't let it go. He said, "Where is the evidence? You claim in the book that there is a mountain of evidence."
Oh.
As
Cattle bones.
No, they don't. But no, they don't. They absolutely do not in the book claim that there's
Well,
any.
he didn't read the book, Dio.
Clearly. But yes, go
So-
on. Sorry.
here, hold up. I want to make sure I'm getting the right guy who admits this. It's George Knapp specifically
Yeah.
said that in the 7 years that Nids was there, they didn't pick up any evidence. Even though they claimed these mutilations of the cows, it wasn't there.
What?
Yeah, there was no evidence that there was any UFOs, any portals, anything like that. In the book, there were even outrageous claims, which you didn't bring up, but that there was someone who got sick from an alien parasite, and they had spread it to their son, and yet they didn't call this CDC about it, something that could be potentially
That wasn't in
dangerous.
that book. I don't know if that wasn't in Hunt for, or at least if it wasn't in. I didn't read the last 2 chapters because it got into a space that I stopped caring about. It got into way weirder spaces. So unless it came up in there, but like it didn't. That's not in Hunt for the Skinwalker, at least. It might be in another book that George Knapp wrote, or another thing. But like, and like, there are and I will say this also. There were a couple of places where I kind of was like, okay, I don't really need to read all this because they started talking about like Dulce, which is another interesting area where a bunch of weird activity happens. But I did not hear about an alien parasite. I did hear about people getting sick, but it mostly had to do with the smell. That's what I remember from the book.
Okay.
But yeah. But no, I mean, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. I just don't think
there's absolutely
Yeah.
Also, Bigelow had written on his website that after the 7 years of NIDS being there, they found no substantial evidence as well. Nothing of note. Several scientists had said that they were just trying to figure out what to actually do because there was nothing to do there, and that they would just take up random dirt samples and muddy water and just send it off just to give him something, because he would literally call in and say, just give me something. All right, this book has no merit. It's like it's one of those cases, in my opinion, of this guy wrote some shit down, and because he wrote it in a book, everyone believed it.
Patrick,
There's just no evidence that
Patrick, if this is the first one that's gonna make you mad, buddy, saddle up. This
I'm not
whole
mad.
this whole show is gonna be us reading books, and because they're on pages, somebody thinks they're true. For sure, brother.
Honestly, the thing I'm not that mad at I'm not mad at that. The thing I'm mad at is Fugle, dude. Fugle is
guy
a
sucks.
POS, dude.
That guy
sucks, and they are notorious for misusing their electrical equipment and reading their own mics and shit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
my God,
Listen.
what's that?
The entire thing on that show, like, I watched some clips on that show, and like, a producer on a paranormal show's job, number one, is to produce the paranormal. Like, that's their job, right? So you watch that stuff and you're like, and listen, I'm glad I read Hunt for the Skinwalker. I only quibble because I do think there's some merit to the book. I think the book is a very interesting collection of ghost stories, and later gets into wiggity woo stuff that I think is fascinating from a like heady perspective, but is not like there's no evidence. They don't. There is a whole chapter devoted to in the book to Cole Kelleher is just basically being like, well, you fuckers want evidence, but listen, man, you don't even need evidence to believe, brother. Like, that's like the level
he's
it
the
gets
same
to.
way in the interview. He's like, no, I'm not giving you any fucking evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's
yeah.
his whole thing. Of course he's not, because then it would ruin
Right.
everything for him.
Yeah, it's all anecdotal. It's all, but I enjoyed when going through. The setting is interesting. Like, to me, the setting is interesting. This like area of the world that has a lot of rich history and lots of traditions, and then the circumstances of the ranchers coming in. It's very classic, like, civilization meeting the unknown world, right? Like, archetype trope from your English class, right? It's very, and it's all set up that way, and then and civilization the family gets run out of town and like never succeed. It's a fascinating story with a fascinating setup, and would make, like, it's probably spawned 1,000 shitty movies and like maybe one or two good ones, like Nope. Like, I was reading it and I was like, this is Nope. Like, they pulled that
exactly.
from there. And so there's.
I'm curious. I hear that you're saying all the NID stuff is dubious. But how do you feel about Tom Gorman, fake Tom Gorman, and his experiences? You feel like that's also all falsified? And if so, why?
Looking at it, Kenneth and Edith Myers, who owned the ranch for 60 years, saw nothing, reported nothing.
But their neighbors reported stuff.
Yeah, because he's a weirdo. Yeah, Myers is a weird rancher dude. Sure. But like I don't know. I just within months of moving in, these people start reporting this constant activity with no real proof of it, and they managed to sell off the ranch for like double what they paid for it. Good for them. Smart business move. They happen to look into the fact that the community was going apeshit over UFOs and paranormal shit, and they're like, all right, well, let's do this. And it worked, and they got this Robert Bigelow guy to double down on this is a paranormal place. This guy spent millions on equipment, which got nothing. Spent 7 years, got nothing. Wrote on his website that they shut it down because there was nothing going on, basically. And I love this because they get government funding to go research again. And the way that they do this is that book, George Knapp's book, makes its way to Defense Intelligence Agency official James Lakatsky's desk, and he works at the Pentagon. And he's like, oh, this is the greatest book ever. This is crazy. Skinwalker Ranch is amazing. Look at this. So he drafts out this contract in which he never uses the words UFOs, portals, paranormal, anything. But he says this could be a great place for weapons research.
Sure.
So the Pentagon approves it and says, go get a bidder for it. He throws it out to get bid on. One person bids on it. Who's that? Fucking Robert Bigelow. Bids on government funding his ranch, in which they spend more years doing nothing. Getting nothing. And that's when he finally sells it to Fugel.
For a huge amount of money, right? He sells it for like millions.
Yeah, in which Fugel made back in
No, he sold it to him for $500,000. He didn't sell it for that much.
Oh,
I thought it was like 10 times.
So a
that.
complete failure for Bigelow. An absolute failure for Bigelow.
Yeah.
He didn't even see fucking royalties for the book. He didn't see anything.
I'm sure he had some deal with George Knapp and Colm Kelleher or whatever. Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I will say, I am, in my most cynical moments, I'm inclined to agree with you, Patrick. I just don't know. And from everything that I could find about the Shermans, they didn't make, even selling the ranch at what they sold it at, they didn't really make any money on this. Like, they didn't come out ahead by any means. And like, it seems to me that if anything, like it's actually a constant refrain. Anybody who has these paranormal experiences, their lives are ruined. Like they're slowly, their lives get deteriorated. I don't think they came out of it anything. And listen, I could totally see it's a strange way to try to make your money back in real estate, but like I could totally see somebody being like, I got this house and now if I just say it's haunted, it's worth more. Like totally. That's
to
like,
someone, maybe.
Yeah, to somebody. For sure, if I find the right buyer. And like that's literally every other house in New Orleans, right? Like that's just how it works. But like but I don't know that in this case it actually worked out for him.
Can I pitch a non-paranormal explanation that
Please.
I think fits? If we assume everything in the book is a lie, it fits.
That's what I'm doing.
Which is, what if Old Man Meyer is a creepomaniac? And so there's weird stuff happening at the neighbors' farms. He's got lots of locks on his door. He's up to no good. He decides he's moving out. He moves out. Stuff stops happening at the neighbors' houses, but he keeps showing up at his old ranch and mutilating cows or whatever for the new ranchers, just because he's a maniac. And then the next people move in, and he's like, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, he gets old. Yeah.
I mean,
could be Old Man Myers.
Listen,
could be Old Maniac Myers.
Yeah.
I do, as much as I love the nice, clean idea of it being Bigfoot.
Sure.
That I can't
nothing
dispute,
cleaner than a
though.
Bigfoot.
You threw the curveball at me. I cannot dispute.
Listen,
portal traveling Doctor Who Bigfoot, like that is crazy.
Doctor Who Bigfoot is real, and we all love him and his milkers. But I am inclined to believe personally that like there's a couple of different things going on. Like there's definitely like that area is lousy with test flights for various military equipment. Like I think that for sure. Like the entire Uinta Basin, like I was saying in the beginning, like there's it's a whole separate other thing about how lousy that place is with UFOs. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Like and like that article was saying, it's like it's most of those. It's not just one person. Like all those UFO experiences was like one guy, and he's like, it's a fucking saucer. Like you can dismiss those easily. But it's like whole towns. It's like it's swaths of people. Like the compelling UFO events for me are always the
parks.
Yeah, it's entire trailer parks. It's entire small villages in Brazil. It's entire like Rendlesham Forest. It's an entire military base that sees what's happening there. Like those are super compelling to me. And like it's in the American Southwest. That's where we test all of our bullshit. Like, and I firmly believe that maybe one or two of those, you see, is a craft. Like, is just a craft that they're testing out. Early drone technology easily could explain some of the orbs or the lights or, all that stuff. That's easy. The wolf, I don't know.
The prankster, Kryptonian, bulletproof wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about that one. Like that one feels like a story to me. It feels like a story.
Yeah.
It feels like, here's why it feels like a story to me, and I felt this while I was reading it back to you guys, is because it feels like a badly written story. So it's like, because like, what you want to do, is you want to escalate the story, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's like he grabs the gun and he shoots it once. Okay. He shoots it again. Okay. He shoots it a third time and you're like, oh, fuck. Okay. 3 times. That's when you want to.
That's a pattern.
There's a pattern. He wants, the thing wants to go. Okay. Then he shoots it a 4th time with the same gun. And you're like, okay, what is happening? And the wolf is just staring at you. And it's nothing else is happening. And then he grabs the gun, the next gun. Oh, you got an even bigger gun. Nothing happens. And why was the 5th time or the 6th time that he got shot the time that the wolf was actually going to get hurt, right? Like it doesn't, I don't know. And like I've heard people or I've read people say like, well, that's how you know it's real because it's not a good story.
Because the
like,
story's so bad.
I don't know about that because honestly, like if somebody was telling you this story, you would be like, where is this going? I don't know.
I did. Not to be the one who like has to corroborate everything, but I did a few weeks ago go out into my yard and there was a huge wolf attacking one of my sheep.
Oh.
And I went grabbed my 22.
Yeah.
And I brandished it, and the wolf ran, and it grabbed a slightly larger rifle. And there, you have to imagine piano music as this happens. And then I went, and I grabbed my biggest rifle of all, and the wolf ran off, and it came back, and it had a bazooka.
Holy shit! What'd you do?
So I ran off, and I hopped in my tank, and I drove up to it in a tank, and then it was there with a missile pointed down at my tank.
Holy shit! What kind of missile?
Yeah.
Scud?
Huge. And so I so I pulled out a ball peen hammer and I smacked the tip of the missile and it blew up, and then we both had our faces charred and our hair stuck out to the sky.
Yeah, you wascally wabbit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know, I'm just saying it happens. That kind of thing happens.
That's a much better story.
I guess so.
That's how I would write it in my UFO book.
Right? Yeah.
Right. And you can actually feel the stories get better as this book goes on.
Sure.
Also,
as he learns to write.
Yeah, right. I do like the image of just like a weird black form pulling itself out of,
Yeah,
one plane
gnarly.
to another. It's like metal as fuck, like
It is.
Oh yeah, the
Some of
sci-fi
the-
imagery was amazing.
the imagery is great in the story, and it is really the appeal for me. Like, and I like the idea of this. Like I said, I like the traditions associated with it, though I do suspect, like, now all of that shit is just getting, exploited in the way that, the Native Americans have been exploited in this country forever. But yeah, it's a fascinating story from the text of it. The veracity of it is, I mean, I know I play, but like there's no proof. There's no proof. It's just a bunch of guys that, Colm probably made up.
If it's not real, you can't write it in a book, though. You certainly
I
can't call it
know.
nonfiction.
Journalism. That's what it is. Journalism.
Yeah.
It
would have to say fiction in big. It would have to say a novel in big letters on the cover.
When I started writing the script for this, I thought about just every time I said Kelleher to make sure that I said Colm Kelleher, PhD, because that's the way it appears on the book. Colm Kelleher, PhD. PhD in what,
Legitimizing
motherfucker?
this.
Yeah, what PhD in what? Skinology? Like, what the
I
fuck?
do wanna-
exactly.
I want to congratulate you too on writing the crap out of this episode.
Listen,
dude.
I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry it went so long.
No, you really went at it.
I went at it. I like I said, I do get some joy out of this story, and I think it is fun and it is fascinating. Like we didn't really touch on, like I said, the more wiggity stuff, but like,
What's
the
most wiggity?
Well, the most wiggity idea, and this is kind of like a theory of all paranormal idea, which factors in the Skinwalker Ranch, because Skinwalker Ranch is this, like, the accounts are so varied. Like, the thing that makes the least amount of sense and is that, like, the family didn't just say, okay, we got stalked by a black wolf that just keeps coming over and coming and like it just keeps killing our stuff, and just like that they could have cleaned up the story.
I keep beating it off and it just keeps coming.
God damn it. God damn it. It's just, I mean, listen, you keep beating it off. There's no wonder why it keeps coming. Like they could have just said that was it. Like we were, or they could have just stuck with aliens, right? They could have just stuck with UFOs, right? Or they could have just stuck with like the poltergeist stuff. Like there's more shit that happened allegedly, like with the poltergeist stuff that I just didn't get to. And there's more stuff that happened. There's like I skipped whole stories of the orbs. Like there's blue orbs and yellow orbs and red orbs and multicolored. Like there's a bunch of stuff, right? And but they didn't stick with that. They crammed all this stuff together.
Sure,
right?
Maximalists.
Right, and
I respect that.
And on the one sense, was it because they were just trying to throw everything on the wall and see what sticks? Maybe.
Or was it because they were reporting the stuff that was actually happening on their land?
I mean, or what, or something that they.
Who could come up with 3 different colors of orb on their own, Dia?
Well, what I'm saying is, if you take them at their word, if you approach it from the idea,
and I do,
that paranormal activity is a, it's like, you have 2 nodes, right? In order to get electricity to zap between the 2 nodes, you need to have those 2 nodes, right?
Sure.
To go from one place to another. The idea is that you come upon something that gets observed, and the form of it is that electricity between the 2 of it. Like your consciousness is informing the experience in as much as like the observer affects the observed in like a physical sense, right? Like
sure,
the entity has no form. It only takes it
Sure.
choose the form of your destroyer. That's what it is, right? It only if you're somebody who's inclined to believe in ghosts, it comes out as ghosts. If you're inclined to believe as aliens, it comes out as aliens. Like this is the heady, like there is no real yada 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 version of the paranormal experience. It's like we'll one day talk about, I think it's called the Goblin Universe. Real idea, very fascinating. But it's this idea that like all the paranormal shit exists in this plane, this like space. And like when you enter into areas like Skinwalker Ranch, where that area is thin,
It's thinner.
it's thinner. It's a thinner space. It's a space that's more where the likelihood of seeing those interdimensional beings on their way from one place to another is more likely. You bring shit to it. There's a whole section of the book where they're talking about like an entity that looks invisible and shimmers, and you read it and you're like, "Oh, that's fucking Predator." Like they're describing Predator. And then like the next sentence they're like, they both thought it looked like from that movie Predator. And they, and you're like, "Okay, well, what the fuck, motherfucker?"
Right.
Like, but the idea is that of course because they saw the movie, they made this thing look like Predator in their brain, because their brain is seeing something that exists in this hyperdimensional space and is trying to make sense of it, and it can't. And so it just tacks on whatever it knows. So is that the explanation for it? No, probably not. But like, I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting thought experiment. Holy shit, we're getting a call.
No
No
way.
way.
Holy fucking shit.
Oh, I'm ready for
Call
this.
from.
Who is it?
Cream of Egbert.
To accept, press
Oh.
1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hold
Don't
up.
accept it. Hang up. Hang up on it.
Egbert.
It's Egbert? I can't hear it.
Scream of Egbert.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Press 1.
I can't. No, call back. I'm
You
sorry.
pooched it.
I booched it.
That was our first call.
I know, I fucked it. God damn it. Listen, I got scared.
Whoa.
I got scared. Whoa. Whoa, you're gone.
Oh.
Oh, God.
You
Oh, it's
dismantled
all
the
falling
entire
apart.
Stream.
It's all falling apart. Call back. I need you.
I just smelled rotten meat and then I disappeared for a
I
minute.
know. It's because I was trying to pull something up. Oh, I gotta get better at this, guys. Why am I in charge of this? No, come back.
It's your TV station.
He's coming back.
Call from.
I can't hear
Cream
him, that's why.
of Egbert.
I hear it.
To accept, press
Oh, you
1.
hear
To
it?
send a voicemail,
Why
press
can't I
2.
hear it?
Yeah, press 1.
Pressing 1.
Hello?
Hold on.
Hello?
Wait, can you still hear him?
He probably can't hear us.
We can hear him. He's saying hello.
Hello.
I will hear you.
Please
First-time
wait for Dio
caller,
to figure his shit
long-time
out.
listener.
Nightmare. Technical nightmare.
First time caller.
Hi. I
Check,
hear you
check.
now. Check. Can you hear him?
First time caller. First time
Yeah.
caller, long time listener.
Yes. Go ahead. You have a question?
I have 2 questions.
Shit.
All right. First question. What was your favorite predator representation in the Alien and or Predator films? With the exclusion of the first film, you can't pick Predator 1. What's the best Predator representation in all other films?
Only films? We're only including films? No
No
other
To
media?
Catch a Predator.
Is there I don't think there's a Predator TV show, is there?
Yeah, To Catch a
Other
Predator.
than,
Yeah, To Catch a Predator.
well, I know, but when they,
No?
just the films.
Okay.
Okay.
Jim, you want to take this one?
I mean, I don't think he can hear me, but I'm a Predator 2 guy. I'm not really thinking about the Predator itself though. I'm thinking about the whole movie. I just enjoy that whole movie.
Wait, did you hear
Okay.
Jim? Oh, he hears you.
Danny
He hears
Glover.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, love a Glover.
Love a Glover.
I-
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You gotta
Lover,
love it.
lover. That's me. That's my T-shirt right now. You can't see it because it's below frame. But
Fellow Glover lover. Look it up.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Jim, you stole mine. I was gonna say Predator 2 as well, but now I'm gonna have to say.
well, now you can't.
I thought it was really cool when the alien busted through the Predator's face mask in Aliens vs. Predator.
AVP. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's my hot take. I think AVP, the buddy cop predator that was rolling with that chick to defeat the queen
Yeah.
in the snow, that was a badass predator. Also, the glow-in-the-dark action figure from the 90s was pretty awesome.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say the comics are really cool. The Aliens vs.
Oh,
Predator
man.
comics are solid Predator
Dark Horse.
representations.
Yeah.
Dark Horse, exactly.
I liked when he ripped the finger off the xenomorph and made the mark on the lady's face or whatever.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
AVP.
AVP.
AVP. Doesn't
Wait, did
get
you have
enough
two
credit.
questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Second question. I lost it. Darn it.
No.
Maggie, what was my second?
Yes.
No, I have it. Hold on. It was Predator, and then if you were on to catch a predator and you were in the position of like the predator, what would your tactic be? Like, how would you get out of the room? You know? Yeah, that's my second question. I remembered it.
I would punch the numbers into my wrist device and set up the explosion to take out everybody with me.
2 words, pocket sand. And I'm out.
Pocket sand.
Yeah.
See, I'm a window guy myself. I would go for the window. I would just
Dive.
dive out and then run through the wilderness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
respect that.
Yeah, it's a good move.
Hit the
That's
cloaking
the real.
device on
That's
your
the
way out.
Bigfoot move.
Mm-hmm. That is the Bigfoot move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch a portal in a tree.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would
man,
do the same thing, but I would grab the kid first. You know, take him with me.
That's the whole reason you're there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna leave without the kid.
Yeah.
Guys,
Take the
with the
kid.
amount of
Some bad
streamers
stuff.
coming out as pedophiles right now, we cannot start those rumors
Listen,
this early on
I'm not-
episode 2.
I'm not gonna have sex with the kid.
I think
Not a
I think I
monster.
speak for the whole like DOTV, organization. Who hasn't texted a 14-year-old before? You know, what's the big
Jesus
deal?
Christ.
On behalf of Dio, yeah, you're right.
God damn it. No. Who put you on behalf of DOTV? Who did that? I'm hanging up on this call, God damn it.
Thanks for calling in, caller.
Amazing first call.
It really.
Yeah,
thanks
that's
for-
a false thing. That was theater. What you just heard.
That's right. It's a funny bit.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
All right, have a great stream. I love you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night, thank you.
Aw, thank you so much for our call. Look at that. We popped our call.
Look how easy it is, everybody.
I know. You guys can just call in.
You could
and
all
can
do
ask
that.
us random bullshit. Like,
Unless
we
you
don't
live in
care.
another country and it would be expensive.
I mean, you
right.
could still do that. It would just be expensive.
Yeah.
I would love it. Thank you, Egbert. Thank you. Thank you. All the love, buddy. Yeah. Well, unless I hear the phone ring again, I'm about ready to wrap this bad boy up. But
We're pushing this stream that ends at 2 a.m. pretty far. We're
Listen,
bending that
next
2
time-
a.m. almost at 3.
I just had to see how many pages I had to write. You know what I mean? Turns out
4.
2. Yeah, it turns out 2.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I had to do a lot of work. I was like,
No.
sweating, being like, how many pages did Jim write?
Zero.
How did-
I wrote 0 pages.
God damn it. All right. Now I'll know better for next time. But speaking of next time, what do we have going on next time,
What do we
Patrick?
have going on?
Oh, we have Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
This is exciting. This one is close to home for us too. Well, closer to home for you, literally.
Oh, yes. Yeah, this is a place I've actually visited myself.
Oh,
Are
God.
you the
Oh,
judge?
we have another call. We have another call.
Call from
Cream of Egbert.
Hello, caller?
Hello, second time caller, first time listener.
Welcome.
Cream of Egbert. Yeah, I thought of a third question.
Great.
If you guys are still doing,
Hit us.
like, if you guys are still answering questions.
Oh, we're here all night,
For
baby.
sure.
Okay, all right. And I won't bother you guys anymore. My third question is, do you think the mud thing would really work with the Predator? Because I feel like the Predator is
It's a patch. It's a temporary solution. It gives you a quick fix, but it fades quickly, is what my thought always was on it.
that's my
Yeah, it seems like
that's
you'd
why
figure
you're
it out
ever-
quick, right?
Yeah, you
You'd
can
be
only
like,
do
oh,
that
I just need to look with
once.
normal vision now.
Yeah.
The heat would come through.
Well, I'm saying with the normal heat sensor, if you put cold mud on your
Yeah.
body and you shine the heat sensor on a person, I feel like it would fade pretty
Yeah.
quick. Like your
Yeah.
skin would warm the mud up, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just holding it, but it gives you a patch. It gives
Yeah.
you time to.
What do you guys think about that, though?
I think that's a great on-stream experiment to do. I think you should get a
Mhm.
bucket of cold mud and one of those like heat things that you plug into your phone so you can see the heat.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do an on-stream experiment, and we
Listen,
hide from a predator.
My
Oh,
first
you know
thought-
what you do actually? Here's a YouTube video version. You do like mud-based predator hide and seek, where you have heat sensor vision, and you have like 40 people hiding from you, and they all get mud.
Hell yeah.
Well, I was gonna
And
say
then if you find them, you murder them.
nothing. I was gonna say.
What's the best mud for covering your body from a predator?
This is getting to the heart of the real questions. Well, I was gonna say I
Icelandic
think
mud.
Arnold Schwarzenegger famously runs cold, as exemplified in the little film Batman and Robin.
He is Austrian.
He is.
He
He runs cold, so I think the mud just like takes care of that, is fine for that. But honestly, hasn't Adam Savage gotten on top of this shit? Have they myth busted this
He
fucker
should.
out yet? Right, like call 'em up.
Mythbuster of Predator.
Yeah, have they done a Predator Mythbuster episode yet? They have fucking James Bond episode. I mean, come on. Where's the
If not, they're leaving money on the table. you
money
know?
on the table for sure?
Muddy on the table.
Yeah.
Muddy on the table.
Muddy money left on the table.
That's my favorite kind of money.
That's my least favorite kind of money.
Well, we have different priorities.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Best mud.
I like cash that if I throw it at the window, it stays on the window.
Yeah.
Mud
I think
would
the
help with
mic.
that.
Yeah. I think the My Cousin Vinny mud would be the best mud for it. Yeah. But yeah. Any other questions? Second time caller.
No, that was all that that was pretty much it. You guys have a great stream. I love the show. Long time listener.
Thanks. We love all of our listeners.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling in. That's 2 calls tonight, guys. 2 calls.
Raking them in, baby.
Raking them in.
Three
They're
great
coming.
questions.
3 fantastic questions indeed. Where? Oh, be a beast. I keep wanting to say beast.
Bibbidi skit,
Bachelor's Grove. Skibbity bop, bibbity boop bop. Skibbity bop. This is actually.
His zoo.
This is the time of night I turn into the scat.
Sorry, what were you saying, Dio?
I'm sorry. What? Huh?
Excuse me?
What?
I think you were wrapping up the show, is what you were doing.
I was trying to wrap the show up, but listen, the show's too big to get wrapped up in a tiny bow. Patrick, Bachelor's Grove, next week.
Bachelor's Grove next Friday.
Yeah.
11:59 p.m. Central Time.
That's right.
Roll up.
That's right. Guys, thank you for going on this journey with us to the Skinwalker Ranch. As Patrick said, we'll be back next week. But until then, what should our catchphrase be? Stay weird. I don't like it.
Thanks for joining us in the thin
space. Welcome to this thin space.
Watch out for Bigfoots.
That's right. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh.
Tune in next time for